Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Tamil try करते हैं.
எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் இளமை திரும்பியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Always welcome a new day with a smile on your lips and a good thoughts in mind. We, myself, Sneha Karthikeyan, and
Dr. V. Subhashini,
take privilege to welcome you all on behalf of Dwarkadas Govardhandas Vaishnav College, Autonomous, the Department of Accounting and Finance, to a 2-day virtual international conference on innovative business practices and sustainability in VUCA World 2021, December 13-14. The world we live in today is extremely dynamic and drives for positive changes constantly. Unfortunately, this dynamism of the world, as we know, has also led it to becoming the VUCA world, short for volatile, uncertain, complexity, ambiguous, in all of which may sound similar, but caters to different set of problems and hurdles which a business or economy might face. The virtual international conference aims to promote, encourage, and bring together researchers and academicians to share knowledge, deliberate as well as recommend over multiple issues and current trends concerning innovative business practices and sustainability of organizations in this VUCA world. Unity is strength, and when there's teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. Now I request Organizing Secretary, Head, Department of Accounting and Finance, Dr. Kavita Ma'am, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning to one and all present here. I would like to begin with the words of Dennis Karen, the president of In Order to Succeed, a professional organizing and lifestyle management firm, who spoke of VUCA. I quote, "We are moving from a world of problems which demand speed, analysis, and elimination of uncertainty to solve, to a world of dilemmas which demand patience, sense-making, and an engagement of uncertainty." Unquote. Today's new multipolar business environment is particularly crucial for organizations as they constantly struggle to survive and thrive in this increasingly turbulent environment where changes are fast-paced, constant, and unpredictable. Identifying and exploiting innovation is now mandatory to adhere to the new realities: globalization, digitalization, commoditization, hyper-competition, and this combined with an ever-increasing pace of change. Rapid technological advancements have led to internet, smartphones, and social media being ubiquitous. Leaders need to rewrite and rethink on how to lead their innovation efforts through these unsettling times. Although VUCA point for the mix of volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous might seem inescapable in certain industries, success in this time of unprecedented opportunity is possible when they rethink offerings, markets, business processes, and organizational structure and improve them to achieve growth. It is with great pride that the Department of Accounting and Finance, Dwarkadas Govardhandas Vaishnav College, Chennai, is organizing this 2-day international conference on today, 13th, and tomorrow, 14th December 2021, on the theme Innovative Business Practices and Sustainability in the VUCA World. In this context, it's an honor to heartily welcome our chief guest, Mr. Aspire Swaminathan, who's the CEO of Aspire Ventures. He is a serial entrepreneur, startup specialist, and bootstrapper with a commendable track record of building successful businesses right from scratch. Sir, we are indeed glad to have you with us. A very warm welcome to our principal, Dr. S. Santosh Babu, sir, who has been a constant source of support and guidance. I also extend a very warm welcome to our keynote speakers for the day, Dr. Rohini Bhatt, Assistant Professor, School of Business, Oro University, Surat, Dr. Lay and Paul Dachapalli, who is HOD of Department of People Management and Development, Twain University of Technology, Pretoria, South Africa, and Dr. Deena Prabha, Research Head and Professor, St. Xavier's College, Bangalore. I wholeheartedly welcome all the participants across the country and from other parts of the world to this virtual conference. We are indeed glad to see the enthusiastic work of our researchers and their active participation. I also welcome all my colleagues who have jointly and collectively worked with hard work, commitment, enthusiasm, and constant involvement in the successful conduct of our first international conference. This virtual international conference is being conducted with the aim of promoting and encouraging and bringing together researchers, academicians to share knowledge, deliberate, as well as recommend multiple issues and current trends concerning innovative business practices and sustainability of organizations in this VUCA world. VUCA, coined for the mix of volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, is observed in today's business environment. It reflects on the turbulent and unpredictable forces of change that could affect organizations. It's both an outcome of disruptive innovation and a driver of it. And frequently, VUCA is used as an excuse to avoid action and planning. We live in a world that's constantly changing, becoming more unstable each day, where changes, big and small, are becoming more unpredictable, more dramatic, and fast-paced. Hence, it's volatile. Events unfold in completely unexpected ways, and it's becoming impossible for businesses to anticipate events, plan for investments, predict their outcomes, and determine the cause and effect. Historical forecasts and past experiences are losing their relevance and are rarely applicable as a basis for predicting the shape of things to come. Hence, it's uncertain. Today's modern world problems and their repercussions are more multi-layered and harder to understand. Many different interconnected factors exist in the economy, operating in a non-linear fashion with a potential to cause chaos and confusion, hence complex. The demands on modern organizations and management are more contradictory and paradoxical than ever. We have to make all decisions on less information than before. This leads to lack of clarity or awareness about the situations, making our environment ambiguous. Organizations can accept and manage itself, mitigate its effects, and use it to its advantage. There is a need for new skills, approaches, and behaviors to manage in the face of these four VUCA threats. We sincerely hope that the international conference theme gave you newer insights on innovation, business practices, and sustainability of organizations in this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. We are delighted to see the large number of registrations and full paper submissions. Wishing you all the very best. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Not everyone has a patience of same, a heart of gold and dedication without end. But you do, ma'am, which is why I just wanted to let you know how much you're appreciated. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the welcome address. Over to Dr. Subhashini, ma'am, my colleague.
Thank you, Sneka. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. The person who acts for this is one and only our principal. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite our principal who gives direction to every one of us. May I now request our honorable principal, Captain Dr. S. Santosh Babu, sir, patron and convener for our international conference, to address the gathering. Please, sir.
Unmute yourself, sir.
Warm good morning for all the dignitaries who are present for this wonderful international conference. First, on behalf of the management and myself, I'd like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Mr. K. Swaminathan, Aspire CEO, who is provided his valuable time for our conference. At the outset, I'd like to congratulate the Department of Accounting and Finance to select a wonderful topic, which is need of the hour, where we are facing the same problem for the past 2 years in the field of business part. So the HOD and his team have taken a very good initiative in selecting the theme for this conference. And also the students of accounting and finance have put their work in organizing this conference, which helps them to know about what is meant by conference as a student level at the college level. At the outset, now the professors of various institutions are playing an important role in providing innovative ideas to the industry and also to the students to be trained in respect to the need of the industry 4.0. This is the challenge we have. Out of the challenge, before we go in detail, we know that in olden days, when you talk about management, the definition of management will be planning, organizing, controlling, staffing, directing. Only 5, 6 are there. There is no word innovative added in the terms of management, where we are governed by the British rule. In the olden days, the British rule will not accept any innovative thing from India or from the country, from our country. They used to be a slave. They used to be an accountant. They used to be a worker like junior assistant. Now only for the past 20-25 years after the industrial revolution, we started thinking about new ventures by the Indians, particularly by Tamilians. This is the important factor we have to accept in the field of business. And especially when you come to our country, we are all an agricultural country, where we are not much ventured with the business, where the agriculture is not correlated with the business. But now only we are trying to make agriculture itself as a business, where our lands, cultivated lands, have been used for poultries, used for other production units. And they are planning in such a way that they can get more output from a piece of land. So this is the strategy we are following, and we are moving from agriculture country to the business country. When we move to the business country, we added in the management a word called as innovation. Without innovation thinking, nobody can grow. Even institution like us is growing vertically and horizontally only because of the innovation, like providing good infrastructure, providing quality education, not only education, providing opportunity to the students to take part in various seminars, conferences, etc. So it is not mere teaching learning process in sitting in a classroom and learning and going out of the institution. So this type of innovation is needed. So when you go for the business, definitely innovation is needed. So when you want to innovate, automatically there will be some distraction, where this VUCA. V is volatility, that is rate of change. Rate of change is nothing but during the COVID period, where we, the faculty members, are not able to handle the class offline. There is no term called as offline class and online class at all 3 years before. But in education 4.0, we said that we should have some online classes also, from year 2025. This is the target we fixed. But because of the COVID, automatically we changed, we are shifted from offline to online. So it is not a very easy job for both faculty members and for the students. Lot of training have been given to the students, lot of training have been given to the faculty members. Because of that only, now we are having this virtual conference where volatile in the education. Like that, in business also, we started doing the concept called as work from home. Then uncertainty. Uncertainty is even we face now, lack of clarity about the present. We don't have a clarity that we are teaching the classes through online, whether it is reaching the students properly or not. We had an uncertainty. Slowly we did some tests by way of getting a feedback from the student. Even the regular classes, you will not be getting the feedback. But in an online classes, we used to get the feedback immediately. Randomly, we will call to the student, we will call the students to answer the questions. Like that, we did that. Same time, it happened in the business also, where they have changed. Some people, they have stopped the business for a few years and they shifted to the next level of business. They have not stopped the business, they went to the another business using the same infrastructure. That happened. Complexity, multiple decision factors. Complexity is always, if there is any crisis management, if there is any disaster management, decision taken will be a big problem. Where in order to take a decision, you have to go through the various factors. Factor 1, factor 2, factor 3. For factor 1, if you take a decision on factor 1, this will be the result. If you select the factor 2, this will be the result. If you say take the factor 3, this will be the result. Which result is the best? Based on that, the factor is selected. So all these things, strategies we did it during the COVID period. Ambiguity, lack of clarity also is there. So this 4 area is a very big complexity for the business area. But at the same time, when you do research in depth with respect to this type, definitely you will be getting a good solution. That solution or that methodology, definitely it will be a innovative methodology. So the innovation is in the hands of the people. It is in the hands of the people where they can innovate in the business process or in the agriculture process or in any process. Because the customer or the user, they expecting an innovative one. They are expecting a new one, like our TV. We are happy with our old CRT TV. Then we move to LCD, LED. Now we want interactive TVs. We don't want TV at all. We can have a system which can have show their views, picture-in-picture concept, dual mode concept. Lot of things have been coming in the field of TV innovations, where now we are using the app like in mobile, whatever the mobile you are using, now we are on Android TV we have. So Android TV can be used even as a phone. TV can be used as a phone call. So a lot of innovations are coming in the field of TV manufacturing industry. Like that in car, if you take, now we are moving from petrol diesel car to electric car. And after moving to the electric car, lot of embedded system have been implied, where the microprocessor controlled car came, which gives you the security for the safe travel for the passengers. Like that, it was added. Because of that, the particular car can be manufactured more, particular car will have more market value. So the innovation will give you a market value. Innovation will give you a business prospectus. Innovation will give you a good future for any business field. In terms of this today's conference, definitely in this conference, the researchers would have done a lot of work on this. They would have presented, they are going to present various papers in different fields of business, which will help the society for taking it to the real-time usage. With these few words, I like to congratulate the department for selecting a right topic at the right time. And also, I like to welcome the chief guest for today's program. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your information connecting not only the innovation and business, but also teaching and everything today during this pandemic, especially. That was indeed motivating and extremely informative. And privileged to have you among us as team dignitaries, whom we'd like to appreciate that. Thank you. I want to thank you, sir. Thank you. VUCA world: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The real changing of world description. Are you prepared? This is the time for chief guest introduction. Now, I request Dr. N. Alamelu Satyabama, Assistant Professor, Accounting and Finance, will introduce our chief guest, Mr. Aspire K. Swaminathan, CEO, Aspire Ventures. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. On behalf of Accounting and Finance Department, I'm profoundly delighted to take an opportunity to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Aspire K. Swaminathan, founder and CEO of Aspire Edu Ventures, for the two-day virtual international conference on innovative business practices and sustainability in VUCA World 2021. He is an alumnus of IIM Bangalore and has been passionate about incubating transformational business ideas and nurturing them into commercially viable and scalable business ventures. In addition, he is a serial entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and specialist in social media technologies. He created a popular online education web portal called egurukul.com, which is India's first e-learning portal where many students' fraternity benefited out of it. In the year 2002, he launched Aspire Learning, realizing the huge demand for high-quality education in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to help children learn fundamentals of science and maths through blended learning format, reaching globally in about 63 locations. He is also the founder of mybschool.com, India's largest online business school that trains over 1 million learners in the areas of business, management, and entrepreneurship. To break the barrier of cost and distance in education, he launched Amma Kalviyagam in the year 2017 in the fond remembrance of late Dr. Purachi Thalavi Amma Avargal. AmmaKalviyagam.in is a free online portal for higher secondary class students and those aspiring for IIT, JEE, and NEET, and even other employability courses being offered for college students that has 2 lakh active users today. He also recently founded Singapore Math Gym to nurture IQ and mathematical thinking in kids. With immense admiration and affection, we welcome you, sir, to be part of this program.
No, thank you, ma'am. No person was ever honored for what he received. Honor has been rewarded for what? Just give. An idol of knowledge and experience and inspiration to all of us. We welcome you, sir, to deliver presidential and inaugural address. Please, sir.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very wonderful Monday morning to all of you. First and foremost, it was very heartening to see that Kavita said 9:30 we'll start the program, and 9:30 she started the program. Thank you very much for that. Usually a 9:30 program in IST is 10, 10:05, 10:07, 10:15. Another 5 minutes, guest is on the way. Yeah. Here I see a team that means time. Thank you so much. Honorable Principal, thank you for giving me this opportunity, very simply because DG Vaishnav was one of the colleges that I have always, right from childhood wanted to study, but landed up 1 kilometer before at Pachapas College. Yeah. I used to play cricket, during school days. So they told me you have to take North Division, which is either Pachapas College or Vaishnav. I said, no, Vaishnav, or whatever, but landed up in the wrong end of the Purnamali High Road. Having said that, today, all the participants today, first and foremost, I want to tell you, don't get threatened with all this VUCA and all these, the faculty, being a management student myself and a management teacher myself, I'm telling you, this is our job. We keep on changing the narrative every 2 years to keep threatening the students so that we have some new topics to talk about. All right. I have been an entrepreneur for 21 years now. I am still saying, when I started business, there was volatility, there was uncertainty, there was complexity, there was ambiguity. Even after 21 years, it continues. Whether it is a business house like mine or an academic institute like that, your principal would agree, your HODs would agree. Every day is an ambiguous day, every day is an uncertain day. So first and foremost, somebody just told me this, I think the Malaysian Prime Minister, soon after they realized what Corona could do, they said, Corona is like your wife. Initially, you think you can control it, but over a period of time, you will just, land up living with it because you cannot control it anymore. All right. Similarly is volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity. I do not know, while we at India are talking about a concept called VUCA, the Westerners have already started talking about RUPT, which is the next concept, which we will get after 1.5 to 2 years. The next concept, BANI, B-A-N-I, is already there in this world of management thinking. So all that I'm going to talk to you today is not about what volatility is, what uncertainty is, what complexity is. I think your principal, your HOD and your professors, and all of them have initially set enough context for it. Yes, VUCA is a problem today, but as an entrepreneur with my 20 years of experience, I have some solutions to you on how do you handle not just VUCA, whether it is, a Delta or, American or Omicron, in whatever way this changes the terminology VUCA, okay, you need to have the following to ensure that you are going to be successful. As an entrepreneur, that is the key takeaway I think I can give each and every one of you who have taken this wonderful Monday morning out to listen to me. Listen to this. If you are doing this, your business is always going to be foolproof. There are 4 questions that I ask every entrepreneur who comes to me with a problem. Are you solving a problem for someone? Which means, is your business, your product or service, is it solving a problem? Number 2, are people willing to pay to solve that problem? 3, are there enough number of people who want to keep solving that problem again and again? And 4, are they willing to solve the problem at the price you are asking? If these 4 are yes, all right, I think businesses are foolproof. But the 4 questions and the answers to them keep on changing depending upon the business dynamics, depending upon the environment. I would say, the veteran in online learning in India. All right. Way back in 2000, we started an edu portal called egurukul.com. Forget internet. Even personal computers were very, very less at that point of time in India. All right. Consistently, one after the other, about 14 startups in online learning I have to my credit. But I want to tell you all one thing. The rate at which online learning has grown in the last 20 months has surpassed the compounded growth of online learning in the whole of the world in the last 20 years. Which means the situation made us all adapt to something. While the students, okay, I would call them the digital natives, they could very easily adapt and adopt this new method. My hats off to each and every teacher sitting here. For you, you are a chalk and talk person. Yeah, you are a duster-bound person. If somebody is talking while you're taking the class with your, while you're writing on the board, you exactly know who is talking and you will just flip your chalk on the fellow's forehead straight. That is a precision that you teachers have. From there, completely moving to an online world is not an easy thing. Yeah. Absolute ambiguity, absolute uncertainty, absolute complexity. So all that I'm saying is, do not get bogged down by any of these words, terminologies, jargons. These are management theorists, management thinkers, and B school owners like us. we keep on creating this to ensure that our business thrives. All right. All these have always existed, will continue to exist, and will keep growing further and further. With that, am I allowed to do a screen share, Kavita? Yes. I'm going to quickly take you through a presentation here, which I call it the micro MBA for VUCA entrepreneurs. I'm not going to talk about VUCA, its problems, its nature, its DNA, nothing. I'm going to give you a 5-6-5-6 approach. Each and every one of you being management students at one level or the other, aspiring entrepreneurs or business leaders, you need to remember this is a very practical course that I do for MBA students worldwide. This is only one part of it. It's called the mini MBA. I just cut it down to a micro MBA because I wanted to take what is relevant for today's session. Kavita ji, how much time do I have? It's 10 o'clock now.
Half an hour.
30 minutes. Thank you so much. All right. I'll quickly rush you through the 5-6-5-6 approach on how do you handle the VUCA currently. I'm making it relevant to VUCA, but trust me, pre-VUCA, post-VUCA, post-BANI, post-RUPT, everything, these will be the fundamentals. Do not forget them. In any kind of a business environment that is unrealistic, that is complex, that is, volatile or whatever, I want each and every one of you to watch out for the first five, the symptoms of a bureaucratic breakdown. These are the things that will make your business more vulnerable to external threats. Yeah. While the macro environment talks about volatility and complexity and uncertainty, I'm talking about the micro, the enterprise, the owner, the entrepreneur should watch out for this to ensure that you safeguard yourself. When there is an invisible decision in your organization, that's the first step of a problem. Nobody knows who's taking a decision. There is no transparency. Nobody knows where a communication is coming from. Who is the decision maker? Which is your fundamental principles of management. If you go back to Henry Fayol's 14 principles. Yeah. No one knows how or where decisions are made, and there is no transparency. Watch out for this. If this is there, you are vulnerable. You are going to get into uncertainty. Yeah. Symptom number two, if there is unfinished business, which means you start too many tasks, but very few are carried to an end. Now, today you have a very focused 2-day conference on a focused topic. Imagine where the department of, your head of department principal and call and say, I want you to do 15 conferences in December. All right. And no topics, no clarity, nothing is available. All these I call as unfinished business. Similarly, in a corporate environment, when the team is a small team or a medium team, if people are not able to complete tasks on time, I call it unfinished business, which once again is a big vulnerable point for you to get affected. There is coordination paralysis. Nothing can be done without checking with a host of interconnected units. You cannot take a decision without talking to 15 people, which is what I call a coordination paralysis. All these that I'm talking to you about are solutions for you to handle the VUCA environment that we are talking about today. There is nothing new. There is absolute lack of initiative. Today, most of the government departments we see are lagging behind across the country because there is lack of initiative. They don't want to take initiative. Yeah. There are minor, the fifth one is called the pseudo problems. Minor issues become magnified and out of all proportion. What I will do is, end of it, I have another 4 more slides. I'll finish it and then take questions. Is that the better way, Dr. Kavita? Or you want me to allow questions then and there? You're on mute.
End would be better.
Pardon me, end of it?
End of it would be better.
All right. So these are the 5 symptoms of what I call the bureaucratic breakdown. If these 5 symptoms are avoided, or the moment you know these symptoms are there, you give the enough tablet or medicine and treat them well, you are safe in a VUCA world. That is the first 5 of my 5-6-5-6 approach. You need just 6 simple principles in the real management world to handle the VUCA. Always recruit the smallest group when you start as an entrepreneur. All right. Only people who know what they are doing and who can quickly accomplish what you want. Never go for a large team in the kind of organization that we are in today. And very clearly, as a business leader, as a manager, as an entrepreneur, communicate the desired end result. Tell them who is responsible for what and what is the current status of the particular project. Yeah. And the third point I call is the commander's intent. Whoever is the commander, the CEO or the COO or the sales manager or the customer service manager, whoever it is, everybody must know what the commander's intent is. If I am getting an order from somebody, I must very clearly know the specific parts of the project and they are individually responsible for completing, and who, what is the risk involved and what is, that we are risking at the end of it. If this is very clearly known, what happens is accomplishing things faster becomes much, much easier. The fourth most important thing, all these that have come from my, when there is already volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, the best that as a business leader we can do is treat people with respect. Appreciate people, show courtesy and respect. These are the best way to make individual entrepreneurs, individual business leaders, individual executives in your team feel that they are important. Each and every one of them must be felt, and that is when, come whatever the macro level, ambiguity or uncertainty, the team is with you. That is very, very important. Point number 4. Create an environment, a nice culture, a nice, ecosystem where everyone can be productive as possible. It doesn't matter. See, my sales team here currently is only 2 people, and both of them work almost 9 to 12 hours a day, ensuring that they complete the tasks that they have on hand. And that is because of the fact that they don't feel insecure that tomorrow I may lose my job because of COVID. Day after tomorrow, there may be a lockdown. There is absolutely nothing, because the team is well informed of anything and everything that happens. The moment you have a strong team within, remember, wars are not lost in the field, in the battlefield. Wars are first lost in the mind. So create an environment of absolute positivity within your organization, and always refrain from having unrealistic expectations. Don't give them something that is not possible within that particular month or within that particular week or within the particular quarter. Building realistic expectation makes people feel that we have accomplished something, we have achieved something. The more unrealistic you keep on making it, the more they will feel that I am not achieving the goal, I am not achieving the goal, which further leads to deterioration. Now, having said the first 5 and the second 6, there is the third 5 that I call the key performance indicators, which are your compass. Unless and otherwise you keep on monitoring this as a business leader, especially as an accounting and a finance professional, all of you would definitely understand what I'm trying to talk about. These are like the compass, always keeps ensuring, are you going in the right direction? The first and foremost is value creation. As I said, the purpose of any business is to create value. How quickly is my system creating this value? And what is the current level of inflow? Keep on monitoring this. In marketing, how many people are paying attention to what I'm offering? How many prospects are we giving permission to provide? See, each and every one of it, I can take a separate 30-minute to 45-minute class. This is a full-fledged subject by itself. But here I assume that all of you are already at a particular level in your management studies and you understand what I'm talking about. All right. So your key performance indicators in value creation, marketing, and in sales, how many prospects are becoming customers? Every day I get about 20 inquiries. Out of 20 inquiries, let's say 7 people come and pay and become a customer. Then that's a good 35%. All right. Ask yourself, how much percentage are becoming from just being interested to paying? And that is a very, very important indicator of how you are progressing. What is your average customer's lifetime value? If somebody comes to you once, throughout their lifetime, how much of value are we able to make from them? Keep measuring this. All these in the VUCA world will tell you how to adjust your course, how to move, how to navigate in an environment of uncertainty. And value delivery. How quickly are you able to serve each customer? There is an inquiry, somebody says, I have a problem. How quickly are you able to service them? Because that is going to define how many of them are going to come back. What is your current rate, returns or complaint rate? You sell 100 products, 80 of them come back, or 20 of them come back, 5 of them come back. What is your percentage? These are all the things that you need to consistently monitoring in a VUCA world, which is precisely what is going to make you successful. And the most important thing, the fifth part, is the finance. What is your profit margin? How much purchasing power do we have? And are we financially sufficient? Month after month after month, are we financially sufficient? These are the key 5 performance indicators that you have to keep monitoring consistently to ensure that the organization is going in the right direction. Whether it is a VUCA world, non-VUCA world, whether it is a COVID world, non-COVID world, doesn't matter. But ensure that all these you have in place as your fundamentals, you keep moving in the right direction. The next most important is of the 5-6-5-6 is the 6 useful ratios that you need to track. What is your return on assets? For every $1 you invest in something, how much revenue are we getting? Buying 10 laptops, 20 laptops doesn't matter. For each asset that you build, how much money are you getting back? How much revenue are you getting back? What is your return on capital? I need not teach you what return on capital is at all to a team that is like this. All right. For every $1 you borrow or you bring in as equity or debt, how much revenue do we collect? The return on promotion on every amount that I spend. I want you to understand this is something, this is very specifically I'm taking because all of you sitting here are finance and account specialists. You need to understand that these are the values that you bring to the organization. Only you understand these terminologies more than the sales manager or the marketing manager or the customer service manager. Being finance manager, you need to question for every 100 rupees or every $1 that I spend in advertising, how much revenues are being made. For every additional employee that I have, what is the profit I'm earning? What is my profit per employee? This year I have done let us say a $10,000 profit and I have a 48 people total, my employee size, or a 50 people. We know that I'm making $200 per person. Now, if I have to make $200 to $250 a person, what is the strategy? Yeah, that is what becomes your applicability. Whatever I'm talking about today for you in the VUCA world is for you to ensure first understand where the problem is, then define where you want to go, and then accordingly manage your strategy. What is your closing ratio? For every prospect you serve, how many purchase? As I told you this earlier, for everybody that's inquiring about your product, how many of them are converting? Okay. What are your returns or complaints ratio? For every sale that we make, how many complaints are coming or how many people are choosing to return? These are the key indicators that will tell you whether I am going in the right direction or not. All right. Having said this, give me a second. I'm just coming back to.
Sir has some technical issues. We'll just wait for a few minutes.
Yeah, no issues. I'm perfect. Am I back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just had a little technical issue out here, which I sorted out. Okay. I'm sorry, team. Any questions before I proceed further? Any questions from anybody?
I think you can continue.
Maybe you'll have to, I mean, how do they ask questions? Do they ask it in the chat? You can ask it in the chat, or you can raise your hand, and we'll get the moderator to allow you to ask the question.
If you have any questions, you can ask.
The first 4 questions, can you repeat? Okay. Is my product or service solving a problem? Question number 1. Are people willing to pay a price to solve the problem? Second question. Third, are there enough number of people in the market to keep wanting to solve that problem? And fourth, are people willing to pay the price I am asking to solve the problem? Only then this is a business, a sustainable business. Is that fine? Sure.
You can continue. I think it will get delayed if you keep asking questions.
So that is okay. See, I mean, I've just covered the core part of it. The way I had designed it was, you told me 30 minutes even when we met the other day. So I had a 20-minute presentation and a 10-minute Q&A. So what I want to tell you is, remember this, get this very, very clear. The moment you decide to be an entrepreneur or decide to be a business leader, forget you thinking of yourself as a government employee or a clerical staff. I'm not even talking about it. All right. If you are talking about being somebody in business, okay, it automatically comes with ambiguity and uncertainty. When I wanted to start a business, my mother first said, "Are you sure? Nobody has done business in our family. You're drawing such a good salary. You've studied in IIM. Do you want to leave that and start?" Uncertainty started there. Ambiguity started there. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? This is what everybody, because they don't want, the risk appetite is less. The risk appetite is less. Yeah. The principal sir, so beautifully put that innovation is the way forward. Okay. I'm just adding to that. I'm using a new terminology called spinovation is the way forward. Innovation alone is not enough. Speed plus innovation is spinovation. Spinovation will give you direction. Speed will give you velocity. Yeah. Velocity is very, very important. Good morning, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. I have a question. What would be your advice to those young entrepreneurs who wishes to start a sustainable business but aren't seeing success anytime soon? Everybody wants to start a business that is sustainable only. Let that get, there is nothing called I want to start a sustainable business. Somebody wants to start a unsustainable business. This is Vidhi. All right. Vidhi, to answer this, first get it clear. You start a business only if you want to be sustainable. Number 1. The advice is very, very simple. Please ensure that you are always solving a problem for people who are willing to pay the price that you want. And there are enough number of people who want to solve that problem. You may just want to sell idlis. Doesn't matter. Okay. But in which spot is your idli shop? What quality is your idli will decide whether you sell 100 idlis or 1000 idlis a day. That will decide whether you are sustainable, you are non-sustainable. It need not be for young entrepreneurs, even for old entrepreneurs. If Dr. Subhashini wants to start a business tomorrow, this is the same advice to her. Yeah, if Kavita wants to come and join mybschool.com as a co-founder, this is the same, answer for her. So here, young, old doesn't matter. Who is my target audience? What problem am I solving for them? Are they willing to pay the price that I'm asking for? Simple. And that's what, if they keep coming again and again, that's what defines sustainability. Kavita, I have 7 more minutes. I want to finish up with a story, if you permit me. And by then, if anybody else has a question, you can put it there. With that, I can close it. There are 2 friends called Ram and Shyam. All right. Probably this would exactly define the current business environment that we are in world over. Ram and Shyam, after their 10th standard holidays, 10th standard exam, were feeling so very bored, they didn't know what to do. Shyam said, don't worry. My grandfather lives in the village. We'll go and spend a couple of days in the village and come back. So they all went to the village. But the moment they went there, Ram started feeling extremely tired, extremely restless. He's been living in the heart of a city, connected world with YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp, and nothing is there in that village. He said, Macha, I'm extremely tired and I'm feeling restless and I'm impatient. I want to go back tomorrow morning. Shyam said, don't worry. Tomorrow I have a wonderful event planned for us. We're all going trekking. The both of us, we will leave at 3 a.m. in the morning, pack our bags and get into the forest, which is just behind my grandfather's house. At 3 a.m. sharp, Ram and Shyam all alone pack their bags, get their food, get their other utilities required, their ropes, their water bottles, their breads and buns and biscuits, and start getting into the dark, deep and dense forest at 3 a.m. in the that morning, that day. They slowly walk in absolute silence. All that they can hear is a distant chirp of a bird and frogs and some insects buzzing. And both of them, in the chill breeze, start walking slowly and slowly and slowly into the dark, deep and dense forest. As they start walking, suddenly a wild bear starts chasing both of them. Because the bear is so fast chasing Ram and Shyam. Suddenly the Shyam fellow, maybe he's like me, a little intelligent. As he runs, he tries to remove his chappals and run. Ram asks him, Yenda, ni sirpa kaitittu odita karadi oda faster paduviya? Shyam says, no macha. If I remove my slippers and run, I will run faster than you. The bear will first catch you. By the time it finishes you off, I will be somewhere safe. So listen, my friends, today, all of us are living in a world where there are enough of bears like uncertainties, volatilities, complexities, and ambiguities that are chasing us. We have to be with the ability to think on our feet. That is what I call spinnovative thinking. Speed with innovation, think on your feet and move forward. Unless you do that, for which I have given you a 5-6-5-6 approach, where you have the key principles. You may call these as your Bible for survival in any uncertain business world, and they will prove right. All right. Remember that the ability to think without losing positivity is the only mantra to come out of all the complexities in the business world. And any more questions, I'm ready to take it.
I think, right? No, because if we ask questions, it'll keep extending, and then next speaker is also waiting. So then things will get it.
So with that, I take it as no more questions. Usually in 2 batches, there are no questions. One, the batch which has fully understood what I've said, and the other batch, as teachers, you already know which batch it is. Yeah. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kavita, Dr. Aramelu, Dr. Subhashni, Dr. Bhuneshwari, and all others in your team. I wish this event a very grand success. And I think my Monday morning has been made with a big bang and a lot of energy. I have to use some of these principles in my meetings today. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time from your busy schedule to give presidential and inaugural address at our international conference. Your presence and your 5 to 6 approach. How do you handle Vuca currently? And 5 symptoms of bureaucratic breakdown to watch out for, ensure that to safeguard the entrepreneurs, and 5 key performance indicators consistently monitored that we should, how to ensure that we are moving in the right direction. Thanks for your updation, sir. Thank you so much.
Trust the wait, embrace the uncertainty, enjoy the beauty of it.
Unmute yourself, Sneha. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Trust the wait, embrace the uncertainty, enjoy the beauty of becoming. Where nothing is certain, anything is possible. It's time for introducing the keynote speaker, one for the day, Dr. Rohini Bhatt, Assistant Professor, RO University, Surat, Gujarat. By Dr. A. Bhuvaneshwari ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Accounting and Finance.
Thank you, Sneha. I cordially invite all the participants and other eminent speakers who are present in the international conference of our department. Thank you all. I am really very honored to welcome one of our keynote speakers, who is really a very good communicator, a good researcher, a multitasking person, and who has a lot of experience not only in teaching but also in research. I welcome Dr. Rohini Bhatt ma'am. We welcome you. And she's a member of a syllabus framing committee, a doctoral research committee, and also she's a member in an event committee and a examination committee. And she's a very good mentor, mentoring many research scholars, both in PG level as well as the doctorate level, ma'am. And I welcome you, ma'am. She's also a resource person for workshops, and she has presented many papers in national and international conferences. Apart from teaching, she's also has industrial work experiences, and she has worked in many industries. Ma'am, I cordially invite you, and then we are really excited to know more about this sustainability practices in the VUCA world. Ma'am, I welcome you, and please, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Very warm welcome, Rohini ma'am. Really glad to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, ma'am. It's a very nice Monday morning today, and we are all here at the international conference. I'm really delighted to be here, and I extend a very warm good morning to all the dignitaries present here. The chief guest, Mr. Swaminathan, the CEO for Aspire Ventures, who gave a very good talk and who talked about not only VUCA but even Drupt and Bani. And he also emphasized on how we are already into the adapt and adopt mode with this pandemic that has come up. I would also like to extend my greetings to Mr. Shri Ashok Kumar Mundra, the Secretary Chief Patron, Dr. S. Santosh Babu, Principal Patron and Convener, Dr. Kavita Menon, the organizing secretary and head of the department, and Dr. Jay Prakash, the organizing joint secretary and assistant professor at Dwarkadas Govardhan Das Vaishnav College. It's an immense pleasure to talk at this conference, the two-day virtual conference on innovative business practices and sustainability in the VUCA World 2021. good morning to all the attendees as well. And I would like to start with my presentation, which is about innovative business practices and sustainability in the VUCA World 2021. As Sir has already set the context for what is VUCA, and we all know that it is about volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. These are the four words which define VUCA. And as you, if we can go to the next slide, sir. So this acronym as a concept was initially coined by the US Army War College, which was to represent the situation which was at the time of Cold War, where things were really uncertain and complex, and no one had an idea of what would happen in the future. If I talk about volatility, volatility is nothing but the speed of change, either in an industry or a market or the world in general. Uncertainty is the extent to which we can confidently predict the future. Complexity takes into account the number of factors that we need to take into account, their variety and their interconnectedness, the relationship between all those factors. And last is ambiguity, which is a lack of clarity about how to interpret something, some situation, some problem at hand. The next slide will show us exactly these four dimensions of VUCA, which talks about volatility. A purely volatile world represents a lot of fast but unpredictable, but predictable changes. An uncertain world, a purely uncertain world, is just hard to tell how things will develop in the future. A complex world is going to be uncertain, and the complex world is very hard to untangle and to understand due to the various factors that are playing into the environment. And lastly, ambiguity, where things are very hard to discern. Everything looks foggy and the future looks quite uncertain. So these are the four dimensions which are very well explained by this table, where such an environment of VUCA, what it can do is it can destabilize people and make them anxious. It can sap motivation of people. It can thwart their career moves. It can make constant retraining and reshaping a necessity in the business world. It can take huge amounts of time and effort to fight and paralyze the decision-making process. It can jeopardize long-term projects, development, innovations, and business practices. And last but not the least, it will build overwhelming, anxious individuals who are going to work in the organizations. So these are certain things or the kind of environment that is created by VUCA. What has led to the VUCA? If we look at the next slide, how VUCA is, what are the reasons or what are the causes that lead to the VUCA world? In the next slide, we see where we have seen this supply chain getting disrupted in the recent future, where there were a lot of problems that were happening. And after the worldwide supply chain in 2020, some of which are still being seen and felt today, VUCA has become synonymous with the global pandemic. No matter how you slice it, VUCA has taken on new importance as we continue through 2021, almost the end of 2021. It's become paramount for supply chain leaders to consider how VUCA conditions can impact local, regional, national, and global operations, and what can be done to build resilience and responsiveness. The various reasons that we see here are enumerated as in, if you see this,
think ma'am is having a technical issue.
Rohini ma'am, please hold on ma'am. There's some technical issue. Rohini ma'am.
I think she's logged up. I think you just wait for some time till she logs in. We'll wait for a few minutes for ma'am to join back. Sorry for the inconvenience. Please wait. Sorry for the inconvenience. Please be patient. Ma'am called. She's having a technical issue. She will join back very soon.
We request our HOD ma'am to.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Because of some network issue, there was this problem.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So do I need to share the screen or is it the presentation?
Share. Satish, will you be sharing?
Ma'am, 1 minute. We're just sharing the screen, ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
We'll share.
Yeah, okay. We just go to the previous slide. Yes, exactly. So yeah, we were talking about what has led to VUCA. And I guess I will just continue from here. Okay, so what is it that has led us to such a situation of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity? If we see, there are various reasons which are pointed out here. The prime reason pointed out by all world leaders is global warming and climate change. And recently, the city of Chennai, unfortunately, has witnessed such an event where there are erratic climate changes that are happening and disrupting the way people are living, working, and even businesses getting affected, individuals getting affected. Not only in our country, but across the world, we are seeing more and more of such happenings where there are fires, forest fires happening, where there are tornadoes, and all the headlines every day that we read in the newspaper. So this is one of the prime causes of reasons that has led to VUCA. Second, we talk about the biological wars. Again, the pandemic that we are going through, the various variants that are coming up, Omicron, Delta, and in future as the ice sheets melt due to global warming. Scientists are suggesting that more and more such viruses, which were earlier under the ice belt, are now opening up, and more threats of viruses and biological wars are expected to come in future. Social media patterns and interactions are changing consumer behavior, how people are interacting, how businesses, B2B, B2C, what connections they are making. So this is also leading to a very important phase of how businesses can respond to the changing consumer patterns. There are various political events that are happening throughout the world, which are leading to changes, sudden abrupt changes. The economic cycle in every country worldwide is being affected due to various financially engineered products. We are all witness to how cryptocurrency has changed the world of finance. People are making money and making money like you don't know what. And the economists are suggesting that this mindset behavior, the behavioral change, the mindset change that is happening due to cryptocurrencies is going to lead to something which is going to put the world economy into hyperinflation. We are going to see more and more of interest rate fluctuations happening in the future. And this is really difficult for business leaders to predict. Rapid technological innovations that are happening across board, that is, you take the example of artificial intelligence, machine learning, neurolinguistic programming. These are all changing the landscape of business and bringing about a paradigm shift in how decisions are made. Machines are making decisions for humans. Data analytics, algo trading, these give instant solutions to the problems at hand. And all this somewhere is also leading to systemic risk within the economy. One more thing, the acronym used here is Mafia G and BAT, which is an acronym used for the monopolistic firms across the world. If I may say a few of them, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Google. These are all the US companies, and BAT is Baidu Corporation, Alibaba, and Tencent Technologies. These are all Chinese corporations. And these mega companies around the world are large repositories of data, which places them in a monopolistic position in world trade. And to sustain in such a situation is a big challenge for other companies in the marketplace. So these are reasons why we see a lot of uncertainty and volatility, not only in consumer behavior, consumer pattern, but in business practices across the world, where a lot of interruption is also happening due to the artificial intelligence giving solutions to world problems. The next slide, please. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Satish, next slide.
Thank you. So we have seen in 2020 that the key theme was survival, and the companies had to suddenly switch gears and try new technologies and processes and seek out new vendors, routes, and markets. In the previous slide, please go to the previous slide. Yeah. So VUCA can be seen as a game of what if, right? If you see, the gap that was created was the China power cut due to disturbance in global supply chains. That had put people questioning that how are we going to face this situation where coal, which is the basic ingredient for power supply to run the power generators, if that is in short supply and there is a disturbance in their supply chain, how are we going to operate in such a situation? So what if there is a power cut in cold regions during winter? Or what if biological wars become more intense? What if machines take over humans through artificial intelligence? Countries face hyperinflation. There are few monopolistic firms which take over the world. There are erratic climate changes and the temperature rises drastically due to global warming. These are all questions we all, not only corporations, not only governments, but even individuals need to answer. And for that, the solution can be seen in the next slide. Yeah. So 2021 was a time of total, 2021 was that time where survival was the instinct that was required for businesses. And now in 21-22, all these organizations have to constantly thrive to stay active in this VUCA world. And one idea worth exploring that can be addressed for all the above questions is to operate in a constant state of VUCA, a constant state of change. For this, the solution which is given by world leaders is that of net zero. What is net zero? If I can illustrate, is that there was, as we all know, there was COP26, the UN Climate Summit, which was held in Glasgow on the 31st of October 2021. And it was widely seen as a pivotal moment in an effort to halt climate change. Climate change was getting so erratic and disrupting the entire world and the global supply chains that it had to be tackled. According to the most recent physical science report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, which is a UN-sponsored scientific body, it remains possible to keep the temperatures from rising by more than 1.5 degrees centigrade, and thereby stabilize the climate. So it is seen worldwide that the rate at which the global warming is happening is increasing day by day and year after year. We need to keep monitoring that and keep it as low as 1.5 degrees C, so that the climate, so that humans can survive, because we are seeing a lot of coral bleaching and sea levels rising. So if we want to stop that, we have to focus at the 1.5 degree change of temperatures. And reaching this target would require rapid reductions of greenhouse gas emissions. But these reductions are not yet happening at the necessary pace or scale. The government's climate the government's climate pledges are still not widespread or ambitious enough to put the world on track of 1.5 degrees C of warming. And the IPCC has estimated that limiting the warming to 1.5 degree Celsius would first require cutting global greenhouse gas emissions by 45% relative to 2030 by 2030. And for this, we can see that the COP26 was focusing on rapidly reducing the greenhouse gas emissions to the greatest extent possible. 74 countries, as we see here, the data which is given. Yes, so if we see this data which is given here for 1.5 degrees C pathway, the effect that is just a slight increase by 0.5% has on the global warming and on the life on this planet Earth is that the species will get extinct, the sea levels will rise, there will be coral bleaching, and the entire ecosystem is going to get affected. And net zero is the only solution to that which the governments are looking at. The net zero says that not only should we reduce the carbon emissions, the GHG gases, but at the same time, there should be carbon sequestration. That is, absorbing the excess of carbon from the atmosphere. And a lot of work is being done in various countries by various governments on this platform so that we can neutralize ourselves in terms of carbonization. So that is what the net zero balance is about. And COP26 is focusing on this net zero ambition, which is a very challenging one. So 75 countries accounting for more than 80% of global GDP and almost 70% of global CO2 emissions have put this net zero commitment in place. More than 3,000 companies have made net zero commitments as part of the UN's Race to Zero campaign. Even the capital markets are increasingly building emission risk into asset prices, and venture investments in transition technologies are at an all-time high. There is a calling for altogether greater level of global and local collaboration. And there is a struggle to reach this net zero requirement rapidly by reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. There are 5 main reasons where moving to this commitment looks quite difficult. It is not as easy. The world would need to advance rapidly from what is to be achieved, a net zero world, within 3 decades or sooner, looking at whatever the governments across the world have pledged. How this can be done? Moving from such commitments to action has not proven easy and straightforward because the required setup in the spend on physical assets in terms of capital expenditure and consumer spending would require a spend of almost $9.2 trillion over the coming years. And financing this scale of capital needs to be secure. The transition calls for collective and global action and entails hard choices. The stakeholders, all of them collectively need to act now. And indeed, the actions are required to secure the transition looking at the perceived cost. This transition will be required in the form of physical building blocks. We just go to the previous slide, ma'am. One more slide ahead. Yeah. So how this transition is going to happen is there are 9 requirements for solving from all the stakeholders for the net zero equation to happen. First is the physical building blocks, where we talk about technological innovations required in business. the ability to create at scale supply chains and support infrastructure, like the chief guest did mention that the speed is equally important. So it's spinnovation, speed along with innovation. Next is the ability of necessary natural resources. The economic and social adjustments needed will be effective capital reallocation and financing structures, which will call in for a lot of blended finance in terms of impact financing, sustainable financing. The management of demand shifts and near-term unit cost increases that the businesses are going to face for the transition to sustainable technologies. Compensating mechanism to address the socio-economic impacts to all the stakeholders involved. All this is going to require a lot of commitment from the governments and institutions. Governing standards will need to be made for tracking, and market mechanisms will have to be developed, and effective institutions will be required to monitor all of these. Commitments by and collaboration will be required among public and private sector, social sector leaders all across the world, and support from citizens and consumers, which is the most important to solve this equation. We also need to focus on how we can collectively work on bringing down the global emission norms. Now, how this is possible has been identified into 5 themes, which could attract $2 trillion of annual investment by 2050. These themes, as you look here on the slide, is that of electrification, because that is going to save a lot of amount on fuel. Working on agriculture, like Principal Sir just mentioned, that we just are into the business to earn profits, to make money, but agriculture is one very important area which is going to help to neutralize the carbonization. How power grids are to be built in the sustainable mode, switching from these coal-based power plants to nuclear-based power plants. Using of clean hydrogen. Hydrogen is considered to be the most neutralizing agent used for decarbonization. And that is going to be the future for any business in the sustainable world. If there are businesses, if there are scientists who can work on hydrogen, they are the ones who are going to be the most in demand in the coming century. And finally, we talk about carbon capture. So like I said, the net zero, if we want to reach net zero, it has to be a balance between controlling the emissions and at the same time making sure that the extra carbon which is there in the atmosphere is absorbed. That is what is carbon capture. Next slide. Right. So now we are talking about each of these 5 areas individually, where first we talk about where coal, oil, and gas, these have been the main fuels used to power buildings, the industrial machines and vehicles since the early 20th century. Net zero emissions will require electrifying most of these equipments and processes that now run on hydrocarbons and convert the electric power system to the renewable sources. Further innovation will be needed to reduce cost and to increase the uptake of electric hardware that will also drive a net zero society. We have already seen vehicles running on streets. For that, better EV batteries will be required. Electrifying transportation will require cutting the cost of battery as much as half the cost of an electric vehicle. The lithium-ion batteries are the kind of innovations that are required. Innovations in solid state, gel, and foam electrolytes would turn this ultra-high capacity lithium metal anodes from a concept to reality. There should be battery controlled software to make up for shortfalls in the chemistry and can shorten the charging times of these electronic batteries and give EVs added pickup capacity. Efficient building systems. Buildings account for around 7% of global CO2 emissions. Making buildings more energy efficient with technologies like LED lighting, high efficiency HVACs, energy controls, using heat pumps to keep the building warm instead of traditional boilers and furnaces, multiple or variable speed compressors. These are all technologies that are required. In addition, energy reactive windows and those with embedded solar cells could enable buildings to generate all the power they need. Industrial electrification, industrial companies could lower the cost and emission by electrifying their operations. Especially, there are certain industries like the cement industry, the chemical industry, the steel industry, which are major contributors to CO2 emissions. And together they consume more energy than any other sector. Financing all these industries and converting them to renewable source of energy is going to be one big challenge. The second sector that we were talking about is agriculture. It accounts for about 20% of global GHG emissions. The most significant is methane, which has many times the warming power of CO2. And reducing methane would require major changes to how society farms, how it eats, how it manages the supplies and waste, and how it manages the cropland and the forests. More than 2 billion people work in agriculture, and developments in this field will lead to a new green revolution. Some of the technologies that could be used to decarbonize agriculture include zero emission farm equipments by shifting from the traditional fossil fuel equipment and machinery like tractors and harvesters and dryers to the zero emission counterparts, where in the slide we can see Solectrac, which is using solar energy. So cost reduction and supportive financing could accelerate adoption of such new technologies. The next is meat alternatives. Between 1/4 and 1/3 of global methane emissions are estimated to come from the digestive processes of cattle, sheep, and other ruminant diets. We don't even think about it when we eat that. So these are major contributors to CO2. They can be effectively replaced with protein from crops such as legumes and pulses. Another alternative is lab technology, which could provide for meat substitutes. Cultivated meats, those grown in bioreactors from animal cells. There is research going on where almost $25 billion of global industry in this sector is expected to come up by 2030. Methane inhibitors, companies are developing feed supplements and substitutes to inhibit methane production by altering the animal's digestive processes. The kind of food that they're going to feed such cattle is going to lead to lesser generation of methane that can reduce the production by 30 to 50%. And there are projects which are in the approval process for such methane inhibitors. Anaerobic manure processing, where manure from cattle can release significant amounts of methane. Processing the manufacture in anaerobic digesters can cut emissions and also generate biogas, which can be used as a renewable form of energy. Bioengineering is another solution which advances agricultural productivity and carbon sequestration and lowers the sector's emissions. The next slide, we talk about the power grid. And almost everywhere, power grids are old, inefficient, and unreliable, and very, very, very carbon intensive. a lot of carbon generation happening from the present power grids. They are nowhere near ready to handle the doubling of electricity demand that could take place by 2050. As we see electrification happening, we will need more of power grids. Modernizing and decarbonizing the grid will involve a lot of tasks. One is speeding the installation of these renewable generation capacity. Another task is adding energy storage capacity. And the third is upgrading the transmission and distribution network to accommodate more front of the meter and behind the meter assets. These technologies, the technologies that can help create this zero carbon grid will be long duration storage, where even with falling solar and wind cost, as well as cheaper lithium-ion batteries, the intermittency of renewables makes these technologies impractical. A solution is the long duration energy storage, where a supply of network for 2 weeks or more can be created, and power can be used cost effectively. Software and communications are also going to play a major role in this. The modern electric grids would rely on ultra-fast communication to maintain the grid balance by managing every device on the network, which could be software defined. The network-wide instrumentation for condition monitoring and fast isolation would also help the utilities spot issues and prevent the interruptions. The digitization of grids will require better cybersecurity protection so that no mishaps could happen. The vehicle-to-grid integration. Nowadays, there are electronic vehicles available, but the integration to the power grid is one major area which can be looked at from a business perspective. That connection is a severe bottleneck to the usage of EVs. If that can be handled, and the issues of recharging batteries and storage and backup and inverters, all of these can be addressed, it can generate a very good business possibility in the future. Big batteries in their driveways and garages could be hooked up to the grid to provide the energy storage capacity. And accomplishing this would require technologies like inverters that connect the rooftop solar, the wall batteries, the EV batteries, and the grid, as well as a fast charging that the buffer, the grid from the demand spikes will keep EV batteries full. Just like we talk about vehicle to grid integration, there is the building to grid integration, because we see that major of CO2 emissions is happening through buildings, through construction projects, and through the way that we are living our lives. Buildings can be used to supply power in ways that improve system performance. Buildings with energy storage, or they could feed the power grid. So we have solar panels right now on our rooftops where we can create solar energy and we can pass it over to the grid. And the demand and supply can be maintained with the help of softwares. The next generation nuclear, which we talk about, where the push is on to decarbonize power, which has lent a new appeal to nuclear generation, which is emission-free. The Gen 4, small sets of generators, which would be small, sealed, and modular, and factory-built reactors and fusion energy. These are areas where new startups are working at for pushing the cost down and for pushing the timelines forward, ahead of the government-backed research programs. High efficiency materials, solar cells made with perovskites, are special types of crystals that help create more energy with the same set of infrastructure. The next slide, we talk about hydrogen. Like The future of fuel is hydrogen. Hydrogen could play a significant role in decarbonization as a clean energy carrier or fuel ingredient with many applications. High energy density and zero carbon combustion make hydrogen well suited to address 30% of GHG emissions across sectors as diverse as aviation, shipping, industry, building, road transport. These are all heavy GHG emission producing sectors. The Hydrogen Council has also identified 130 large-scale hydrogen projects announced in 2021. The government of India is also has announced almost 12 hydropowered plants in different areas across the country. Hydrogen is going to be, it has a long way to go to fulfill its potential. An entire infrastructure of pipes, storage facilities would be required at a great expense. And that is going to be a real challenge for all the governments across the world. How is that going to help? First of all, countries and corporations need to work on low-cost production of hydrogen. If hydrogen could be made for less than $2 per kilogram in the country, major end users would become economically viable. Road transport fuel. Hydrogen can be used for road transport. Higher energy density makes hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles suitable for long haul or heavy road transport. So all the truck traffic can make use of hydrogen as a transport agent, as a fueling agent. But a fueling stations would be required as part of the hardware and infrastructure. Ammonia production. This is one of the most promising near-term uses for low-carbon hydrogen, where green ammonia made with green hydrogen should be the first variety to match the cost of conventional ammonia production, which is used in, which is very widely used in business. Steel production, again, another major contributor to the CO2 emissions. The conventional blast furnace, the basic oxygen furnace route for steel production emits almost 1.8 tons of carbon per ton of steel. But using green hydrogen to power the direct reduction of iron as a feedstock for electric arc furnaces is one of the route to zero carbon steel. And major steel producers are now piloting steel production with hydrogen. Aviation fuel, another major contributor to CO2 emissions. It is expected that air travel is going to produce 3% of global carbon emissions. And the best near-term alternative is sustainable aviation fuel, which would be made from renewable feedstocks such as agriculture biomass. So when we talk about Delhi being polluted and the level of pollution in Delhi because of the burning of agricultural biomass, that can be channelized to create aviation fuel. And eventually the hydrogen could be used for combustion in these larger planes. The last of the 5 areas is the carbon capture, usage, and storage, which is very commonly known as the CCUS. It is necessary to decarbonize. So this is the other side of the net zero challenge, where we are talking about extracting the excess carbon in the atmosphere. It is necessary to decarbonize hard to abate sectors and to remove the CO2 from the atmosphere. Presently, the use of CCUS is minimal and costs remain prohibitively high, like $50 to $100 per ton of CO2. A lot of research and development would be needed to reduce the cost. And how this could be done possibly is with the help of pre and post combustion capture technologies to affordably capture CO2 from point sources, development of new post combustion technologies, help bring down the cost of capture, and decarbonize the atmosphere. Direct air capture, the pic that you see to the right, top right, is a pic showing the direct air capture, which is being used by various countries across the world to remove the CO2 present in the atmosphere, withdraw CO2 from the ambient air. That is very difficult, and it is going to offer a way of removing CO2 from the atmosphere, and the world is likely to need many different sources of negative emissions if we have to achieve the 1.5 degree Celsius of global warming. Many companies across the world and many governments across the world are investing in the direct air capture technology. And low-cost DAC coupled with low-cost hydrogen could enable production of carbon-neutral e-fuels in the near to medium term. Next, we talk about bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, where many fossil fuel powered plants are nowhere near the end of their useful lives. Taking plants offline before they are due would burden the utilities with standard assets. Adding CCS equipment to the bioenergy plant lets it produce negative emissions, and biomass captures CO2 as it grows. And when that biomass is burned, the CCS system keeps the CO2 from entering the atmosphere. Another very important innovation that the world has seen recently is the biochar. It is a stable charcoal-like material made by processing waste biomass, such as crop residues, through pyrolysis or gasification process. Adding the biochar to soil can improve the soil health and agricultural productivity, opening the door for use in large-scale farming. And this practice could capture nearly 2 gigatons of CO2 per year by 2050. Another major innovation in the field of agriculture. Next, we talk about the CO2 enriched concrete, where concrete has two main components, cement and aggregates such as sand or crushed stone, which gives the concrete most of its mass. Both have very heavy carbon footprints, and both companies are working on solutions that would capture CO2 in concrete itself. So these are certain technologies that we have seen. These climate technologies could contribute to solving the net zero equation while creating growth potential for sectors and geographies. At present, the technologies exhibit varying levels of maturity, performance, market demand, and various other problems and glitches. The challenge is formidable, but the moment to devote creativity, capital, and conviction to addressing it is now. If you see the annual investment by 2050 in $1 billion for each of these five themes, that is electrification, agriculture, power grid, hydrogen, and carbon capture, the amount of investment it would require and the amount of CO2 it could abate per year in gigatons is the kind of the future that we are looking at. So electrification gives us one major answer. Electrification combined with agriculture, which abates CO2 maximum. These are the two solutions. So generally people say that, okay, the problem is always going to remain a problem at hand, but let us talk about the solution. So I see these two industries as the solution where we can neutralize the carbon emissions in future. And I would like to conclude now by stating that innovative business practices in the VUCA world post-pandemic should address the biggest challenge of the country and of the world, which is the climate change. The climate change can be reversed or at least slowed down by adopting this net zero strategy across all sectors and geographies. A shift to renewable energies and use of sustainable technologies is the only way to achieve success in the long term. The companies need to prepare themselves for such transition and thrive even in this VUCA world. And with this, I would like to end my presentation and thank Dr. Kavita Menon and the organizing committee, the chief patron, for inviting me as a resource person at your college. Thank you very much. And now we can keep the floor open for the questions, if any.
Yes, I would like to end my presentation and thank Dr. Kavita Mary and the organizing committee of the CPAP for inviting me as a resource person at your college. Thank you very much. And now we can keep the floor open for the questions.
Any questions, please? Anyone wants to ask questions? Participants?
Rahul has a few questions.
Yeah, Rahul, can you please proceed?
Rahul, can you unmute? Probably you can unmute and talk. That would be faster.
Yeah.
Now am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, ma'am, first of all.
Good
and
morning.
Thank you so much for enlightening us with such a presentation. It was really, really brainstorming and we got to know a lot of points. My questions are as follows. The first question is coal actually depleting? Is there any chances that, or a time period estimated when we can actually move from coal to another source of or renewable source of energy? And my second question is, instead of using electricity for electricity building grid based electric vehicles to charge the batteries of electric vehicles, is there any way that we put hydroelectricity in use by hydraulic turbines and basically electricity sources? Because in a way, hydroelectricity is infamous and is not very much known. And how is it possible that solar powers can be deployed on our buildings, and how would it be helpful for emitting electricity?
Solar power on our buildings.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I have noted down 3 set of questions that you've asked me, Rahul. Thank you very much. I will just address them one by one.
Sure.
The first question you talked about is how far coal is going to last and whether we actually have issues of coal, and when should we switch to renewables and why should we switch to renewables. The answer to this is that coal, when we mine coal and when we use it for industrial purpose, the entire supply chain or the entire ecosystem of extracting it, of converting it to sending it and converting it to the fuel required has a lot of carbon footprint. So its availability is not a major issue, but what is a major issue is the kind of carbon footprint that it is creating. And everyone in the world acknowledges the fact that coal is creating the highest amount of CO2 emissions. And that is why a switch to renewable sources is required. So the faster we make the transition from coal-based power plants to hydro-based or solar-based power plants, that is going to affect the way business is going to look in future. And not only business, the way the entire if we see global warming, that is the biggest challenge that stands in front of all of us today. So it is the corporations, the governments, and all the stakeholders, even we as individuals, as consumers, have our own responsibility towards how we are going to consume products, how we are going to do business, what are the practices, what are the sustainable business practices that we have to adopt in our businesses, and what changes we can make. So coal, the supply may not be a problem, but the carbon footprint is a problem. And the faster we switch to renewable sources, the better it would be. The second question on hand was about, you talked about electricity vehicles, EVs, where electricity, should they be powered by electricity or some kind of a hydro-based electricity or other form of fuel, basically. So you are right saying that hydro, even in my presentation, if you see, I have focused a lot of my presentation towards hydrogen, because hydrogen is the next petroleum. The kind of boom and the kind of market we saw for petroleum in the last century, hydrogen is going to be the fuel of the future century, the coming century. And the more we shift to hydro-based power plants, hydro-based batteries, hydro-based any kind of technological innovations where hydrogen is used as the fuel, that is going to lead us to more and more cost reduction also. Of course, not immediately. It is always, the curve always is higher in the beginning when the new technology is introduced, and then it goes steep down as more and more people accept the new technological innovations. So hydrogen, a lot of businesses across the world are working on how to make use of hydrogen so that we can reduce the CO2 emissions. And also hydrogen can be used to generate electricity. So hydro-based power plants we are talking about, right? And that is how even the cost of electricity needs to be reduced, because the kind of demand that we are going to see for electricity, because when everything is going to be electric, we are talking about reducing the use of fossil fuels. So how can we reduce that is we have to jump to electricity, or we have to jump to some other form of fuel. And the only option is electrification or hydrogen. So world across countries are the corporations are looking at how to reduce the cost of hydrogen so that overall it can help us in all types of technological innovations. And at the same time, it can help us to bring down the cost of power generation, which will ultimately lead to more of electrification and more of the grid connections that can, which also brings us to your third question of, how we can use solar power on building and how we can connect it to the grid. So buildings, we are using, I can say, the building as well as the so solar power already most of us are using in our buildings, right? On our rooftops. So that is one alternative renewable source of energy that we are using, but we need to increase the pace of usage, the kilowatt of usage. And that is also one of the targets for governments across the world. They are all in a race to increase the, kilowatt production generation of solar-based power. And solar power on buildings can be utilized in such a way, even currently, in fact, it is not the future. I'm talking about the past and the present, where people are creating power through solar panels, and it is being passed on to the grid, and people are making an income out of it. So it is going to be a two-way thing. It is not that only governments and companies are going to focus on generation of power through the solar energy, but we as individuals, on making use of our rooftops, we can act not only on the demand side of power supply, but on the supply side and earn income. So there are going to be solutions in future where we are going to talk about both the sides, the demand and supply, in terms of cost, in terms of labor, and in terms of basically everything sustainable. So net zero, everyone, if you see, is talking about net zero. If you see the recent Hyundai ad, right, they have also within the ad, in the end, they mentioned that they will become net zero by 2030 or some here that they have mentioned. So everyone is in this race of going to net zero. And in that also, not only in corporations, but even individuals are going to contribute. Not only demand side, we have always been on the demand side, but now we are also contributing towards the supply side. So this is how solar powers on buildings can help us, neutralize the entire effect of carbonization. So I hope I have cleared your questions, Rahul.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just one last question from my side.
Sure.
Ma'am, is there any question that would arise down 3 decades or any like 100, 200 years down the lane, that what if hydrogen depletes? We all know that hydrogen, the major source is H2O, that is the water.
Right.
Is there any chance that the water table would also decrease of the earth, and we'll also face a situation like how we are facing right now? Few years back, we thought coal would be really big source and it would run the future. Right now, we are shifting to hydrogen. So will such situation arise, and will we actually change to any other fuel or source?
That's a wonderful question, Rahul. I'm really impressed at the kind of future outlook you have, because yes, that is also a problem. Water, soil are these two are main problems. Even the soil, the topsoil is reducing, and that is one major problem for how we are going to develop agriculture in future. Water, the water table is decreasing. How we are going to face that issue, solve that problem? So definitely these are issues that have to be handled, but looking at the immediate problem at hand, hydrogen looks like the best solution. In fact, if that is used in a good manner, where with if we can use hydrogen for power generation and electricity supplies, that is also going to help us alter many things in future, which can help us, in fact, to take care of the water depletion that you're talking about. So it is going to be, all these problems are going to be continuous. That is what we are saying. It's VUCA. You don't know the number of factors, because like you say, there are a number of factors which are going to affect. And what is the interconnectedness? What is the relationship they have with each other? It's like, we are not in a like in economics we say that everything else remaining constant. We cannot think about that in a VUCA world. Everything is going to evolve. It is interconnected, and hence VUCA is one big challenge for everyone. And how we are going to solve all these challenges in such a VUCA world is what we have to look at in future.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, any more questions? I think it's time. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a very wonderful presentation, I could see, ma'am. I have learned so many things about this hydrogen that we didn't even know, but that hydrogen will be our future. You have given us the dimensions of a VUCA world. You have also told us the solution for this VUCA world. Also, you have told that carbon capture is the best solution for this VUCA world. Ma'am, indeed, it has thrown a very good light about all those things. And you have told us about how the greenhouse effect of the agriculture and electrification is going to play a very vital role in bringing down this carbon capturing. Ma'am, the solution to neutralize the carbon emission, you said one among them is we all as a citizen and consumers need to support it. I think we will all support in this, and then we will try to reduce the carbon emission from our team, ma'am. Thank you so much for this wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Rohini ma'am, for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you for accepting our invitation. This is really an honor having you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope to see you in future.
Surely, surely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
In VUCA world, the secret to success is to develop our knowledge, skills, and competencies at a pace faster than the rate of exchange of dimensions of the business, and internal and external environment of the business. Curiosity is the compass that leads us to our patients. Follow it or you won't be disappointed. The future belongs to curious. With this information, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Chitralekha, Assistant Professor, Department of Accounting and Finance, to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Lee Ann Paul Dachapalli, Head, Department of People, Management and Development, Tshwane University of Technology, Pretoria Campus, South Africa. Please, ma'am.
Good morning. In a teaching experience of 19 years, Dr. Lee Ann Paul Dachapalli has left no stone unturned. She is the head of the department in the Department of People Management and Development, Tshwane University of Technology. She was also the external assessor for UNISA and more. She has been the keynote speaker of many webinars and conferences. She has been the recipient of Research Award in the year 2011 and also has been the recipient of Emerging Researchers Grant from Tshwane University and received NRF Bursary Awards for Masters and Doctorate. She has supervised and enabled 8 students to complete their projects and 11 more students in the process. She has published many research papers in various journals. She has attended and presented in many conferences and workshops. She has also been a peer reviewer for journals like the South African Journal of Human Resource Management and many more. She is also a board member and editorial member for the South African Journal of Human Resource Management and Worldwide Journal of Research. She is a member of various professional bodies, namely the South African Board of Personal Practices and a member of SABPP Higher Education Committee. She has been engaging in community research like value adding capacity building at the pop-up upliftment program community center and many more. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you to the organizing committee for making me to present today and give you a talk on the innovative business practices and the sustainability in the Avuka world. It is my pleasure and honor from the Tshwane University of Technology, representing the university from South Africa, to give you this talk. I'm not going to waste time, but I want to get into the speech, and then thereafter we can take on questions and conclude. VUCA is more than a buzzword. And we all know that we are thinking and approaching solutions to problems of our digital and dynamic world. And with the pandemic that has hit us 2 years ago, we know that we are facing very volatile situations in and around the country and the world at large. Now, we all know that VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, a perfect description of the world that we live in today. We know that we are all, the country or the world is volatile at the moment. It's very uncertain on how we are going to go about our daily activities. We live in a very complex world with complex situations, and it's very ambiguous with regard to how will the daily activities of our working lives pursue. The term VUCA was first coined in the 1990s by the US Army College to describe the dramatic changes and the strategic challenges of the post-Cold War period. Since then, the term has been widely adopted by business leaders and strategists in many sectors to help emphasize the need for effective strategic planning. Understanding the forces described in the VUCA model can help organizations effectively execute the dual disciplines of crisis management and disaster recovery planning. Now, we know that we are all faced with this currently because we have to crisis manage our organizations that we are currently in. We have to crisis manage the education sector, very especially at this time of the year, where we are running around to see how are we going to complete the academic year, because most of us didn't think that the virus is going to rise at this peak. Here in South Africa, we are facing the fourth wave. And the fourth wave has hit us very hard, where we have a daily number of new infections that are sitting at almost 20,000 a day. Now, we need to crisis manage the whole situation because we have students that need to finish and complete the academic year. We need students that do not have access to devices, that do not have access to data, because data in South Africa is very expensive. So we need to crisis manage all that so that these students can comfortably complete the academic year. When we look at volatility, what is volatility? We live in a world that's constantly changing, becoming more unstable each day, where changes, big or small, are becoming more unpredictable, and they're getting more and more dramatic and happening faster and faster. As events unfold in completely unexpected way, it's becoming impossible to determine the cause and effect. So going forward, it becomes so unstable that predicting the future is not necessarily a must now. So we need to take, as the events occur, we need to unfold and we need to act on the events that unfold. We cannot prepare for the future. Uncertainty. It is becoming more and more difficult to anticipate events or predict how it will unfold. It is becoming nearly impossible to plan for development and growth, and it becomes increasingly uncertain. Complexity. Our modern world is becoming more and more complex. What are the reasons? What are the effects? Problems and the repercussions are more multi-layered, harder to understand. The different layers intermingle, making it impossible to get an overview of how things are related. Decisions are reduced to a tangled mesh of reaction and counter-reaction, and choosing the single correct path is almost impossible. Now, I want to give you an example of how the university has worked. When the third wave has settled down and when the numbers were below 100 per day, everything went back to normal. Where the university was back to normal, everyone was at the university, it was business as usual. And students were sitting in class to write their tests and write the examinations. So the university top management did not prepare for the fourth wave. And then all of a sudden, the fourth wave hit us at Tshwane University of Technology, where it was said that the Omicron was detected first at Tshwane University of Technology. We then had to go and look for measures to curb the future of TUT, to curb how we're going to go about completing this academic year. So we came up with students writing online tests and examinations. However, as I said previously in my statement, that not most of our students have access to devices and have access to data. This is putting us in a predicament, in a very volatile situation, because on a daily basis, we have students that are saying they do not know how to use the new tool, which is called the Invigi app, that they can write the assessments on and be invigilated on. So TUT as such never prepared for this unpredictable future, which now we are sitting and trying to find a way forward for these students that do not have access to the devices and data. ambiguity, we all think that when we prepare for the future and when we prepare for crisis management or disaster, that one size fits all. And the best practice have been relegated to yesterday. In today's world, it's rare for things to completely be clear and precisely determinable. Not everything is in black and white. Gray, however, is an option these days. The demands on modern organizations and management are more contradictory and paradoxical than ever, challenging our personal value systems to the core. In a world where the what takes a backseat to the why and how, making decisions requires courage, awareness, and a willingness to make mistakes. Now, we need to realize that ambiguity is no longer where one size fits all. We need to see what the situation is. We need to see what the crisis is before we can manage and say that one size fits all. Living in the current situation that we are now facing, most of us have heard the term, the new normal. So many times it has taken a texture of cliche, except that it's not. For each of us as individuals and for the businesses that drive the global economy, this is no longer the same world we are living in 2 years ago. That includes any sector where the changes wrought by the coronavirus pandemic will be transformative and long-lasting. However, those changes need not be obstacles and may well present opportunities to businesses with strategies robust and flexible enough to manage the challenges ahead. The COVID-19 pandemic has driven changes that many of us have yet to fully understand and appreciate. It's one of the greatest challenges most businesses and individuals will ever face, demanding sometimes painful adjustments. As history has shown time again, global events like pandemic, global financial crisis, international trade disruptions, and widespread civil disorder can arise at the most inauspicious times, impacting business operations and throwing societies into disarray virtually overnight. Now, we can also relate to this because we have been thrown in disarray overnight when the pandemic hit us in the early 2020, where most of us had to prepare for the year ahead. Most of us had to prepare of how we are going to go along with our businesses and our daily activities, our daily jobs, etc. Now, we know that the pandemic has taken the toll on people, very especially, I must say, that it has taken the toll mentally on people, because most of the companies have made people work from home. And this working from home has mentally made individuals and employees unstable because they do not know when to shut down. They do not know when to stop working. They work continuously, sometimes 24/7 a day. And this has impacted on people's personal life and the quality of their life as well, because they forget how to differentiate between work life and family life. Apart from differentiating this, the pandemic has also put us in a disarray where we have organizations that have restructured, where we have organizations that have put off people permanently because of the economy and because they cannot carry the employees anymore. There's a lot of private institutions in South Africa that have retrenched their workers permanently and have no jobs for them in the future. A lot of organizations have made their employees to work permanently from home, giving them the resources that is necessary to do the work. However, there's some organizations that want the employees to come to work every day, including now at this fourth pandemic. However, how do we respond to the unexpected? Many would argue that we've always operated in a VUCA world. It is simply the challenge of doing business in a perpetually changing environment. And we know when it comes to businesses and financially, that businesses do change environment. If not daily, if not monthly, then yearly, we have businesses changing. True enough, at almost any time, an organization can be affected by events with widespread, even global consequences. Some, like natural disasters, can be insured against, while others cannot. But the timing and major impacts of major events, a perfect example being the coronavirus pandemic, are difficult to predict. The immediate effects of the pandemic on many industries, including the education sector, saw many retrenchments, obstacles in organizations, and in hard-hit regions. However, as the daily peaks of coronavirus subsided in some heavily impacted regions, we have seen the rapid resumptions of many projects. And the education sector is one where, when the virus has resumpted and the low numbers, everything went back to normal at the universities. Everything went back to normal at most state-owned institutions. Additionally, these numbers of considered essential never did completely shut down. So essential businesses that provided essential comorbidities to people never really shut down, but was at a risk in the forefront of the pandemic. What are the strategies for resilience in an uncertain world? How do you go about addressing the challenges of driving sustainability in a VUCA world? The first one is that we manage volatility. We build a slack and devote resources to preparedness. Examples would be to use resources or to overbuy talent. These steps can be expensive, so the investment could be aligned with the perceived risk. Now, when we come to a situation where we manage the volatility, this is a risk taken by each organization that we need to prepare for the future. Now, at the university, at TUT, when we went into hard lockdown into level 5 last year, we prepared for the future by making study packs for each student at the university. And that was a big risk financially taken for the university because that incurred printing costs and it incurred posting costs as well. And I must tell you that it was a risk for the university, financial risk, because most of those material that was printed for the students, most of the material that was supposed to be sent off for the student ended up not reaching the student or ended up coming back to the university, which was a total waste of money for the university. However, we said that it was a perceived risk that each organization or business will take to manage the volatility of its company. How do you navigate uncertainty? When you navigate uncertainty, you invest in information, you collect and interpret it and share information. This works best in conjunction with structural changes, such as adding information analysis network to help reduce uncertainty. You reduce your complexity. You restructure when required. You bring on or develop specialists, and you build up resources adequate to address the degree of complexity within your organization. Now, when you restructure your organization, there is some kind of risk that you will have to retrench employees or put employees at a lower level. And it has happened a lot in South Africa when the pandemic has hit us, that organization restructured, and the route that they took in their restructuring is retrenchment. And a lot of people has lost their jobs in this particular time. When you clarify your ambiguity, we experiment, understand that cause and effect require generating a hypothesis and testing them. Design your experiment so that lessons learned can be applied broadly. When in any situation or in any business, when you clarify your ambiguity, you have to have a testing situation to see if it works. What we currently did is we tested the InVigi app. We tested the InVigi app on all the lecturers and the teachers at the university. We tested the InVigi app and with all the students that attended the training. It was successful on the training day. But when we implemented the so-called InVigi app tool for students to start writing their assessments, then we gathered the problem that they are experiencing. And on a daily basis, we receive more than 200 emails complaining about the InVigi app from the side of the students. So what I could say that the testing was not done effectively to give the students enough time. So when we clarify the ambiguity, we need to make sure that enough time is given to test and adopt a particular application, a particular tool to take the business forward so that we do not run into any more financial risk. What are the insights for navigating a VUCA world? To successfully manage and respond to challenges of this VUCA environment, the following 5 strategies should be considered. We need to anticipate and we need to prepare for the unexpected. Good business intelligence promotes faster, more effective decision-making and can make the difference between seizing an opportunity or being left behind. Company leaders must develop a deep understanding of the strategic systems within their organizations and how they relate to the wider industry. They must also stay on top of competition, owner behavior, political economy, and regulatory drivers, and other forces interacting with each other. Executive mandates should center on developing eyes and ears that span geographies, industries, and businesses with a specific focus on understanding customer and consumer behavior. Now, when we anticipate and prepare for the unexpected, we need to make sure that we still take into account our competition and that we are on top of our game when it comes to our business. We collaborate. The second one is to collaborate and test new ideas. Company leaders often consume a vast amount of data and information, which can leave them feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed in decision-making. Now, we know that when we're faced with a lot of different tools and a lot of different apps, it makes us feel very overwhelmed and makes us think and gets us confused which is the right app until we are faced with that particular person who can explain to us the effectiveness of each app. This makes it particularly important for leaders to engage in collaborative dialogue with peers to test and confirm ideas and check assumptions about evolving risks and their potential impacts. The InVigi app was tested between peers and between students, and this particular team was approached by the university management to discuss the app before actually adopting that particular app. So all have went through, and there was collaboration and new ideas shared between both of the parties before the app can be implemented. Going it alone in decision making is in this increasingly volatile world may be a recipe for disaster. We cannot just go and implement something that we did not have any information on. We cannot go and implement something where we did not collaborate with people on their ideas about that particular tool that we want to implement in this time of era that we're living in. Building consensus across a leadership team will help ensure broader buy-in and support for important strategic decisions and more skin in the game in sharing outcomes and the need for course changes. In any situation that we are faced in, be it any pandemic like what we are faced with now, the coronavirus, or if we want to adapt and make changes to our businesses and to make changes in the institutions that we are working in, we need to make sure that we first collaborate with people that knows a particular tool, that knows a particular strategy, and test the ideas with your peers and the people that are working in your environment before we can actually go and implement such a situation. Now, we know that just implementing situation can lead us into a lot of financial risk. And at this time of the year, we do not want to take those particular risks. The third one is to adopt and strengthen critical thinking practices. Leaders who qualify as critical thinking question their beliefs and assumptions and continuously ask themselves what might be done differently to respond to a volatile and unpredictable business environment. Now, I must say that we are all faced with this. We are all, whoever leads in any situation, even as a student, you will ask yourself this question: what can be done differently so that I can improve, so that I can make a success of what is left of the year, so I can make a success to complete my assessments. Be it business leaders, be it students, or even be it parents, we all can ask that questions because we are faced with a pandemic that is so unpredictable. We do not know what tomorrow holds for us. The mindset should not devolve into paralysis by analysis, but rather provide leaders with opportunities to self-correct and monitor their lines of thinking in an environment of changing information and conditions. Critical thinkers are open to new ideas and are willing to challenge their beliefs and investigate contrasting opinions. In any situation, in any crisis that you are faced with currently, or crisis that may come up in the future, you will always be open to new ideas. Leaders will always be open to new ideas, and they will always challenge their beliefs and always investigate before trying to adopt and implement a new situation. The fourth strategy is to commit to continuous learning. A passion for lifelong learning is an essential characteristic for any successful business. Truly strategic thinkers actively seek new perspective about organizational problems and potential solutions. Leaders attuned to the realities of a VUCA environment recognize that continuous learning will be a critical long-term organizational agility, creativity, and resilience. A combination of training, mentoring, and executive coaching can help all leaders stay on lifelong learning tracks. Some have even recommended that leaders form personal boards of directors, which are comprised of peers, external experts, company employees, and even friends and family members with whom a strategic decision maker might consult and share ideas before arriving at a course of action for a particular issue or a problem. Now, in most organizations, we have the so-called learning and development department for a reason, because this particular department needs to bring in, learn and develop the people in the organization. They need to bring more developmental information to the organization so that company can compete with its competitors. And especially now, during this volatile situation, they need to bring in more developmental planning so they can help the company move forward. They need to engage with other businesses, to benchmark with other businesses, to see how those particular businesses are moving forward. I'm not sure if it happens in India, which I'm sure it does, but in South Africa at the institution, we have a so-called advisory body or advisory board that is made up of the lecturers from the university and experts in the field from outside organizations who joins in a meeting at least twice a year to give information and to tell the department if they are on the right track or how to streamline the qualifications to make the individuals more prepared for the working world. So that's called our advisory body. So in essence, an organization should also have advisory bodies to help them move forward when it comes to any crisis or when it comes to any pandemic. And the fifth one is to become an agile thinker while remaining focused on the horizon. Agile thinkers will necessarily maintain a high degree of vigilance towards changing events in the world around them, while at the same time maintaining a clear focus on the internal goals. This dual perspective can help organizations achieve key performance markers with great consistency over time, while enabling leaders to effectively anticipate externalities that might impact the attainment of those markers now or in the future. Now, when you're an agile thinker, you're always thinking about the future, and you maintain a very clear focus on your internal goals. As a student, you will maintain what your goal is for you. And your goal is to complete your academic year so you can move on to your next year, or you can move on to the world of work. And you need to think about how you're going to do that. And with the changing events that we are experiencing currently around the world, we need to keep a clear focus on how we are going to move forward. In conclusion, we need to control what we can control. With all of us hope that the pandemic will be short-lived, we can be sure that this will not be the last major event likely to disrupt our global society and commerce. To say that there is nothing we can do about these events is fundamentally wrong. We cannot just sit back and let the events occur. We can take a step. While we cannot predict but we can prepare for what we may be ahead with a focus on controlling what we can control. I want to thank you. I want to thank the organizing committees and all the delegates for giving me this opportunity for making this presentation today. Thank you.
We really appreciate the time and effort you put to grace our event and make it wonderful. We owe you special thanks for touching on the subject of Vuca. Your talk was extremely useful for Vuca world once again. I thank you on behalf of everyone present at the conference for your kind gesture. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming in as a keynote speaker. Thank you so much, ma'am. Hopefully, by God's grace, someday, if an opportunity comes arise, we would like to meet you someday.
No, definitely will. As I always say in all the presentations that I do, I'm no stranger to India, and some of your delegates would know, and the coordinators will know that my husband's from India, so I am no stranger there. So we used to visit India at least once a year, but with the pandemic, it has stopped us now to travel over. So once everything is settled, definitely I will make a trip down there.
Hope to meet you soon, ma'am.
Will do, will do. But thank you so much from Shawnee University of Technology as well for giving me this opportunity, and for all your coordinators and delegates and the guest speakers as well. It was my pleasure to present and to give you a speech today.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's time for introducing our third keynote speaker. To survive in this new normal, organizations, we must do things differently. Our goal with Vuca is to offer a path forward and getting you thinking about what you need to do and where you need to start. May I invite Dr. K. Tamilchelvi ma'am, Assistant Professor, Accounting and Finance Department, to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Prabhadina, Research Head Professor, St. Xavier's College, Bangalore. Over to Kavita ma'am. Tamilchelvi ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sneha ma'am. Good afternoon, all. On behalf of the Department of Accounting and Finance, Dwarkadas Gordhandas Vaishnav College, I am delighted to welcome and introduce Dr. Prabhadina, Professor and Head, St. Francis Business School, Bangalore, as today's keynote speaker. Dr. Prabhadina is a multitasking and result-oriented individual with over 15 years of educational and administrative experience in various prestigious institutions and B schools. She has occupied a headship in a variety of educational institutions in Tamil Nadu, including schools and colleges. She has led a variety of personality development and student empowerment seminars at various levels, and she also mentors research academics. Her multitasking ability has enabled her to provide great support services in a variety of academic and administrative settings. She has published research papers in various national and international journals, among 5 of them Scopus indexed. She is the author of a book titled Brand Management. She won numerous appreciation awards from past employers for achieving the highest possible score, centum on board exams and in semester exams. For her passion, quality, and excellence in training India's future minds, she received the Golden Guru Award from GRT Jewellers in 2016. You are adding the value as gem in the conference crown. We welcome you, ma'am. The floor is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. A very wonderful brief introduction about me. Good morning to one and all present here. It's a great, it's immense pleasure to be a part of this conference. Okay, before starting, I would like to share my this PPT. I want to explain what is Vuca World. It's a great pleasure to be a part of this conference, a wonderful topic. It's an innovative business practice and success sustainability in Vuca World 2021. So first of all, here the many speakers have explained about Vuca World. Once again, Vuca is an acronym used by the American military to describe the extreme condition in Afghanistan and Iraq. It stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So it is a very thing, it's a very important for all the students, not only the students, even CEO officers, all the sectors, those who are working in different sectors, they would like to know about what is VUCA world. So here, this is the thing, in American, that is in Afghanistan era. Sir, will you please change the slide? The next one. So the seed, and next one. Please, sir, next slide. See, the VUCA world, the terminology is resonating with the increased number of CEO as we try to make the sense of constantly changing challenges. You all know, now in this world, we are facing a lot of challenges in different sectors, in the different sectors and institutions, and all the CEO officers, even those who are working in different institutions, they are facing a lot of challenges. How they do not know how to solve the problem, what they are facing in the organization. So here, the constantly changing challenges brought on by politics. The challenges may be through by politics, economics, society, and the environment. Now the CEO, chief executive officer of each sector, they're facing a lot of challenges. They do not know how to give the solution for these problems. Next. See, VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Now, this is a common word wherever we use in any different institution or sector, we are using the same word. Okay, now we are going to see in this session about what is VUCA word and how the CEO officers and the different types of manager is called, how to say that is taking the decision and to solve the problems. VUCA world, it seems to be shifting from an approach based around problem solving. It's a very, very important, how to solve the problem is very important for all the CEO officers, not only the CEOs, on the managers, those who are working in business, those who are working in different business sectors. And planning aimed at reducing uncertainty to a world where progress is made by actively engaging with uncertainty, requiring the high level of leadership agility. Now, leadership is a very important task for all the sectors, how they are going to plan for their company. And while they're planning, after implementing also, they're facing a lot of problems, how they are going to overcome from this problem, how they are going to take the final decision, wise decision. That is very important. Next. The volatile, uncertain, the complex, and ambiguous, the new normal. Okay. So now we'll see what is V stands for. The volatility, the nature, the dynamic of change, we know where and all we see, there is a lot of changes is there, and the nature and the speed of change and forces and change catalyst. Here the CEO officer or the businessman or any person, those who are working in different institutions, they wanted to know about what is changes is happening in the business, how they are overcome from the changes, what is the nature of change, how the speed of change and forces, how these forces will be implemented in their organization, how they overcome from all these problems. That is, volatility is nothing but changes the speed and forces and changes catalyst. Please, next. Uncertainty, the U stands for uncertainty. We do not know what is happening in the business also. Uncertainty, that is lack of predictability. Now we are seeing the pandemic situation. We have faced a lot of problems. We do not know how to overcome from this problem also. So in every business, in every organization, in every sector, they do not have uncertainty, even though they have planned, plenty, but they have wanted to implement the certain things in the business. The lack of predictability, the prospect for surprise. Suddenly something will happen in the business. They do not know how to take the wise decision to solve the business. That is the problem. And the sense of awareness and understanding the issue of event, that is very important. Even though the officers, even though the leadership, they should know the direct awareness of this unpredictability, how they overcome from this situation. Next. Next, see the complexity, the multiplex forces. Now we are facing not only one problem in the business. If you are starting any startup business or any institution or any sector, they are facing a lot of forces. They do not know how to solve this, and there are multiplex of forces, not one forces or one problem. The confounding of issues, no cause and effect, chain and confusion. In one time, they do not know. They don't have the proper thing. They got confused. All those things, how they are going to. There is a complexity, and that surrounds an organization which that is implement in their organization. Next, please. The ambiguity is nothing but the asynchronous reality, the potential for misread. They are causing a lot of confusion. They don't know how to take the decision for the problem, and the mixed meaning of condition, cause and effect confusion. See, the VUCA is the volatility, uncertainty, and complexity, ambiguity. This is a common terminology which has been used in all the companies, all the sectors, all the business. Now we are going to see how we are going to overcome from this VUCA, and what are the steps we can take in the business, and what is the success of the VUCA. VUCA world. This element, whatever we have discussed now, VUCA, this element presents the context in which the organization view the current and future state. So if they wanted to overcome from the problem, what they are facing in the company, all these elements very, very important, that they have to view their current situation, and also they have to think about the future. They present boundaries for planning and policy management, even though they are planning from the past experience, and they have a very good policy management also. They come together, all this planning and policy come together in a way that either confound the decision or sharpen the capacity. So from the past experience, they got some lot of experience. From the past experience only, they're planning for the future. So while they're planning for the future, there may be some different policy will be there. This planning and policy come together in order to take the wise decision. That decision may be the sharpen the capacity to look ahead. Whatever the decision they're taking for the company, that decision should be sharpened. And the capacity to look ahead, plan ahead, and move ahead. That is a very important. Even though we can plan, even in an organization, many organizations, they failed because they have not planned properly, and they have not followed the policy that is properly. So even the startup company, they have started many business, but they failed. Why? Because they are not planned and they implement the policy in their business. So whatever the decision they are taking in their company from the past experience, that should be sharpen the capacity to look ahead. What is in future, what the plan will be implemented, what the company is going to be in after next 10 years. The plan ahead and move ahead. VUCA set the stage for managing and leading. So here, this terminology set all the sectors, all the CEO office, all the manager, all the leadership, they can set the stage for managing the company and leading the company in a proper way in order to get here a very bright business in their company. The volatility, uncertainty, and complexity, ambiguity is a driver. So we can see in the upcoming slide, we can see this a driver and what is the effect and what is the demand of this VUCA. So VUCA world, in most contemporary organizations, now we can see in many organizations, in business, in military, education, and government, and others. Now in a common area, these are some common area. All these organization business are facing a lot of problems, and they don't know how to overcome these problems also. So not only in one organization, this may be in a business, in military also, in education institution, government, and others. VUCA is a practical code. Now it's a proper and common terminology which is used by in all the organization, and it's a practical code for awareness and readiness. So while we have in this competitive world, if you are starting on business, definitely we have here other competitors are there. In order to face all this, one company or any organization, they should have the awareness and readiness. Beyond the simple acronym is a body of knowledge that lead with learning model for Vuca, the preparedness, anticipation, evaluation, intervention. So we should be thorough as a businessman, as a CEO. There should be a thorough knowledge, the body of knowledge, how to learn this model and how to overcome all the problem what they are facing in the business. Okay. Here, see how well can you predict the outcome of your the actions. So complexity is here, the multiple key decision factors in a company, in an organization, in a business. Nowadays it's a beautiful, the globalization. No, now many people are starting a new business and start a business, and they're facing lot of problem, and the problem is all multiple. And for each and every cause and each and everything, how they are going to take the decision, the multiple key decision factor, that may be a complexity for each and every CEO officer or leaders and those who are running the business also. And volatility is nothing but rate of change. The changes may be in force, the speed, how the changes, the speed, the force, everything. And the changes can be adaptable by both the employer and employee also in the business. So volatility is nothing but the change of the rate of change. The ambiguity, the lack of clarity. If there is any problem, one should understand what is the real problem, what is the awareness of the problem, how we are going to give the proper solution for the problem. So here the thing is, nowadays in all the business, there is a lack of clarity. They don't know what is happening in the business and what are the causes and what are the problem. So once they are in the business, one should understand what is the clarity of the business and what are the clarity of the problem they are facing. The lack of clarity about the meaning of an event and uncertainty, unclear about the present. They do not know what is the thing is happening in the business. They should know, they should have awareness and readiness about the business. So how much do you know about the situation? Then only we can able to take the wise decision for the problem. So now, so far we have discussed about this, what is the elements of Vuca and how it is their criteria, everything. Now success. So with using this Vuca, how we are going to give the success in our business. Nowadays in the business or organization or institution or government, wherever we go, we have to face all this. So how we are going to come out, how we are going to take the wise decision. Always retain the clear vision. Vision is very important. We have to be the vision of their business against which judgment can be made with agility to flex and respond approximately to rapidly unfolding situation. So we do not know what will happen in the business. What is the thing is going to happen? How we are going to take the decision? Unfolding situation is there. So always the business should be clear about what is their business and the awareness of the big business, and vision should be very clear. If they are the clear vision, then only they can get the judgment of this problem, whatever they're facing in their business, and they should be flex and respond approximately to rapid even if they are facing n number of problems also, they can able to take the wise decision. Next. The wisdom at work in Vuca times, the volatility, the vision. So in any business, if you are seeing your business in your bright vision, that is very important. The other word of uncertainty, even we have said uncertain, unpredictability. But we have to understand as a businessman, as a CEO officer or a business or leadership, they should understand the thing, what is running in the business, understanding and complexity, the clarity, the awareness of the thing, the clarity should be there. And ambiguity is agility. Affirming of the individual and collective capacity, one should have all these things. If it is volatility is the change, they should have the bright vision and they should have the understanding capacity and clarity and agility. So affirming of individual and collective capacity to rise to the challenge of this time with deeper wisdom, resilience, and compassion, skillfulness. So one should give the skillfulness in all the area, then only they can able to work in an effective way, and it is very easy for them to overcome from the problem. Next. So next. The success in that is we are discussing about the success now. So provide the clear direction and consistent messaging against the backdrop of continuity, to provide the clear direction. So even the employee should give the clear direction to the employee where they are working, how they are working, the consistency message. The message should be that there is a clear flow from the hierarchy, the clan of hierarchy culture. There is a clear flow from the higher authority till the lower person. So the clan of hierarchy the culture should be clear and messaging against a backdrop of continuous shifting priority. So they have to give the clear, that is a message, and should give the priority for each and every situation, and supported the use of new virtual mode of communication where necessary. So nowadays we can see in any business or any organization, the employees are not getting the clear picture what is running in the business. The higher authority, they're not giving the clear information about the business and what are the communication, that the flow is not proper to the that is lower authority. So that what are the message, what are the decision they are taking in the business, if there is any change, if there is any confusion, if they are facing any problem, even that problem or everything should be flow in a free flow to the lower authority. So then only it will be easy for them to do the work in a clear manner. Next. Leading through Vuca, be direct in complex situation. So now we have, if you want to do the success in our business, we should understand, we should have the clear vision, the understandable and reliable and trustworthy. Be direct in complex situation also. Even if there is any complex situation in any business, now we are talking about the business situation, how the CEO officer, the leadership, the manager and the employees are working, how they are taking the proper decision for the problem. So in a complex situation also, the transparency in the information, what I said was same thing. The information should be transparency, that should be flow from higher authority to the lower authority, and communicated and received will gain mutual trust and collaborated effort. If there is in any organization, the communication is very, very important. If all the things should be communicated in a well manner, that should be reached in all the employees, those who are working in different department. Then if they are received the communication, will gain the mutual trust. They feel that they are the one of the part of the business. They feel the mutual trust on the business also, and they have each and every employees with the employee, they can work together with the collaborative effort. So be direct in any complex situation. Now, the second thing is leading. If you are Vuca, we are facing a lot of things. We have discussed the element, everything. Now we have to change in order to get the success in the business. Be understandable. In ambiguous situation, in difficult situation also, the clarity in purpose, what problem they are facing and what are the situation, how they have to overcome from the problem. So the clarity in purpose and direction and responsibility will empower others. So they feel I am one of the person, even I am the employee of the person, that maybe I am also one of the responsible for the situation. I am also responsible for the problem. So each and every employee, they can feel that they are one of the part of the business. That for be understandable, if they understand very well what is happening in the business, what is the problem, what the awareness should be there for each and every employee, not only the employer. So clarity in purpose and direction is very, very essential for each and every employee, and they should know what is their responsibility, what is their commitment towards the company. And the third one is be reliable. In volatile situation, in a difficult situation, follow through on what is said. So now these are some points and these are some elements we can understand about how we can take in a positive way. So follow through on what is said and agree to will accelerate positive momentum. So even if they are facing any difficult problem in their company, in the organization, the employee should understand they are the one of the part of the business, and they should agree whatever the information, whatever the communication which they are getting from the higher authority, even the employee, even the manager, even the leadership who are involved in the business, they should agree to will accelerate the positive momentum. So they wanted to give the positive momentum to the business. Be trustworthy in uncertain situation also. So we have discussed what is V stand for U, C, A and all. So now how we are going to overcome from this. So be uncertain situation also, invest in people. So what is the investment of people in employee? The employee should invest the knowledge. Okay. So while they're recruiting the people also, the people should have the more knowledge of the particular area. So spending money and recruiting the right person for the right place and right thing, that is very, very important. So the business should invest in people, the knowledgeable people where they are working, and they have to share their knowledge into their business in order to bring their business in a positive way, in a tremendous way. So investing money in people and recruiting of people is one of the important thing in order to avoid the uncertain situation in the business. Keep team engaged. So even though the employers are recruiting some employees as a leader or manager or any position, that person, they have to be engaged throughout the day. That is, they have to engage, the team should be engaged. And involve partners also. Seeks to understand. They should understand what business they are doing, what type of, they can share their knowledge also inside the business, in their organization. So seeks to understand and speak to be understood. If they are understood, they should come out of what they have understand, and they can share their knowledge to other employees also. So that freedom should be there in any organization. The employee should give that freedom to each and every manager or leaders or in the organization. This will reduce a problem in the business, and this will create a positive atmosphere in the business. So these are some points, if they are followed in their business in order to get the fruitful way, in order to run the fruitful way, these are the points they can develop in their business. So seek to understand, speak to understand, act with respect always. So even though the employees are working in a lower authority and a lower place also, the employee is in a position to give the respect to each and every person, those who are working in the organization in different department. If they follow all these elements in their business, definitely they can bring in a positive way, not only the profit, but they can gain the market share also in the market. So these are some important elements, that is, be direct, be understandable, be reliable, and be trustworthy. Next slide, please. Success in VUCA world, the anticipate risk, but don't invest too much time in long-term strategy plans. This is a common word, no? So, well, now we are in the pandemic situation. We felt a lot of problem. We have faced a lot of problem also. So always we don't invest in too much time. That is too much time in long-term strategy plan for 20 years and 25 years and all. So risk will be more. So the risk, but don't invest. Don't automatically rely on past solution and instead place increased value on new. So the past solution, we are planning from the past experience only. From the past experience only we are planning. The planning should be done, and after planning, the same thing should be implemented in the business. So past solution and instead place increased value on new. The temporary solution is respond to such an unpredictable climate. The temporary solution, for example, during this situation, this unpredictable climate also, we do not know how each and every person, we are not expected this type of situation. No, this type of climate is called unpredictable. So according to that only we have to take the solution. Yes, next please. The think big picture, make decision based on much on institutions analysis. So the picture maybe there is a big level, and we have to take the wise decision from the past experience, plan accordingly, and what type of planning we have done in the business. Each and every employee is responsible. The planning should be implemented. The plan, whatever the planning they have done in the business, that should be informed to the each and every employees, and the employee should understand what the awareness of the business, and they're also responsible for what are the problems, or even it's success or failure, they're also responsible. So based on as much on institution as analysis. The capitalize and complexity. So if your talent management strategy is working, so here the capitalize and complexity we are facing, we do not here nowadays know they're facing not only one problem. The problem may be differ. The complexity, they do not know the multiple forces of problems we're facing. If your talent as a businessman, if the talent management strategy is working, talent management strategy is not the management, those who have the good knowledge of taking the decision for the problem. If they are facing the problem, they don't know how to take the decision, wise decision, without spending much time. Within a short time, they will take the wise decision. That type of decision which can be done only by the person, those who have more talent in the management strategy. Then you should be confident that you have the right people in the right place. So every organization, they have to select the right person for the right place at the right time. So while the recruiting the person also, they should, dear student, even I'm explaining to all the students also, the students responsible is to update their knowledge, update their, that is a different field. This will be essential for each and every organization. Wherever you work and wherever you get the job, there you have to update the knowledge as they require. So when they concentrate on the talent management strategy where they are working, definitely they have the confidence. So I have the very good people in my business. I have the right people for my each and every department. So in the right place. So this will enable you to rapidly break down any challenges. If they are recruiting the right person at the right time and right place, that is the knowledgeable, talented person, knowledge person, and each and every organization, they have the confidence of, even if they are facing n number of problems also, then they have the confidence to solve that problem. So this will enable the company to rapidly break down any challenges into the bite-sized pieces. If they are facing a very big problem also, they can break even in a small size pieces. And trust in the specialist expertise and judgment of those around you. So specialists, those who are specialists in a particular field, they can, if you are in the HR, marketing, finance, so selecting and recruiting the right person for the right job, the specialist expertise. So this confidence can be done only by recruiting the talent person and those who have the very good knowledge in a particular area. So in this way, the talent management strategy is working in a proper way in any business. They have the confidence, they have the right people, they can come out of any problem if they have the very good specialist and expertise in their business. Be curious. Uncertain time bring opportunity for bold moves. So during this situation also we have faced a lot of problems, but we have learned a lot of things in this during this pandemic situation, how to live, how to calculate our savings, everything. So uncertain time, even though is one of the element of VUCA, the uncertain times bring the lot of opportunity for the bold moves. We can take the wise decision. We can take the very big decision also. See, is a chance to innovate. So this is a one way we can innovate in new things. This is a one way to chance. We have the chances of founding the new way, implementing the new way in our business. Encourage the networks rather than the hierarchies as we reach new level. Networks, here different departments are working in different organizations. Each and every department should have the network with other departments rather than hierarchies. So hierarchy is a clan of culture that is from top authority to middle authority and higher, that is lower authority. The hierarchy should be the clan culture. They should have the freedom. Even the employee should have the freedom of taking the wise decision. Even they have the freedom to share their ideas a skill. We all know each and every employee, they have the skill and knowledges and they have the unique quality. And here, if any clan culture, no, that's hierarchy, they will be giving a lot of freedom for the employee to share their skill and ideas to the business. In some company, they won't allow the employees to share their skill and idea. So this too should not be done. So rather than hierarchy, as we reach new level of interconnection and interdependency, so they feel they are also one of the part of the business, not the part of the department. They can share their skill, they can share their knowledge, they can share the new ideas to other department also. So they feel if they have the interconnection with other department, they feel they are interdependency, collaboration is more than competition. If this healthy condition should be there in any business, any organization, even the government, even the institution, education, wherever it is, this culture should be, this culture should bring a positive way in order, even if there is a more competition in the world. If the workers, if the employees are working here, that is, if they have the good positive relationship with the other department, interconnection department, and they feel interdependency, they are not dependent with others, they feel interdependency, they have the freedom to share their skill and knowledge to the employees. Leverage diversity as our network of stakeholders increase in complexity and size. You all know our network stakeholders are increased, the companies are increased, the share market is increased. So we should to draw on the multiple point of view and experience they offer. So we have to see what is our business in the society, in the market, where we are standing, what is our market share, what is our profit. So we have to, why? Because diversity is there. There are a lot of networks of stakeholders. They have a lot of business keep on increasing, and complexity and size is also is increasing. So multiple point of view and experience they offer, doing so will help you expect unexpected. So if you are doing our business as a businessman organization, they can expect even the unexpected things also in the business. Never lose focus on employee engagement. So while in some companies, they used to give a lot of importance for the employee. So they have to give more importance for the employee. Why? Because the employees, they will work in a positive way and they will give the very good thing also for the business. So never lose as a businessman, as a CEO officer, as a leadership, as a manager, okay, they never lose on employee engagement. They have to engage the employees oftenly. They have to get the feedback from the employees, what is their expectation, whether they are satisfied while they're working in the organization. Provide strategy direction, whilst allowing people the freedom. So what we have, I said, no, the freedom we should give for each and every employee. They need to innovate new processes. We do not know. Even a small employee, those who are working in a small department, the particular person has a lot of knowledge, and that freedom the employee should have to discuss the same skills and knowledge and new ideas to their manager, to the CEO officer or any higher authority. That freedom, they need to innovate the new processes, product and services. If the company is adopting all those things, this will gives a fruitful result for the business. And get used to being uncomfortable. So even we can't expect some things to happen in the business. Some unexpected things will happen, and predictable things will also happen. We can't expect only the profit or very good share in the market. But we should accept something has happened in our business or in an institution or something. Get used to being uncomfortable. Resist a temptation to cling on an outdated, inadequate process and behaviors. For example, if we are facing all those things in day-to-day life, so we have to use and we have to control. And here the person, those who are working different, designation and different department and different place, they should have the thing to adapt all those things. Take leap of faith and enjoy the adventure. So they should take some time to come out of that thing. So take leaps of faith. We should have the faith and confidence and trust on that. Then definitely one day we will come out of this situation, and we will be giving a very good solution for all the problem what they're facing. And that leaps of faith should have for each and every companies and business or institution or government, and enjoy the adventure also. So while we are facing all those things, definitely we'll be giving some innovative ideas. We can face whatever the problem that we can able to get the decision, find decision. So get used to being the uncomfortable. Next. Next. Okay. So
this is the last slide.
Okay, thank you. So, so as we have discussed, this is an important element and terminology we are using in different sectors, institution, government, everything. But one thing we have to come out of the thing, and I have discussed a lot of points how to give the success in the business also. Okay. I thank to give the opportunity. I thank the management and principal and staff for the Department of Accounting and Finance once again. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this conference.
Okay, ma'am. Today's business world is all about change. Economics, technology, and politics continue changing at such a rapid pace, and business and individuals struggle to keep up. We live in a world filled with volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. How then can business not only survive but truly thrive in the chaos of a VUCA world? How can you predict the situation and overcome and to get success in VUCA world? With this wonderful information, I would like to thank you on behalf of our conference team. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, indeed, a pleasure to have you with us, ma'am.
Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. May I invite Mrs. Sneha Karthikeyan, Assistant Professor, Accounting and Finance, to present vote of thanks. Sneha,
Good afternoon to all. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. John F. Kennedy. Luckily, the weather is our side today. The sun and I are pleased to offer you a warm welcome and being thankful to. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today, the day one of the international conference, a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our chief guest, Mr. Aspire K. Swaminathan, CEO, Aspire Ventures, for delivering his presidential and inaugural address. During his busy schedule, has found time to grace this occasion. I also express my heartfelt thanks to all keynote speakers for the day: Dr. Rohini Bhatt, Assistant Professor, School of Business, RO University, Surat, Gujarat, India; Dr. Lee Annie Paul Dachapalli, HOD, Department of People Management and Development, Dushant University of Technology, Pretoria Campus, South Africa; Dr. Prabhadina, Research Head and Professor, St. Xavier's College, Bangalore. Most valuable contribution from all of them. Thank you so much, ma'am. A special thanks to co-chairpersons, advisory committee, international, national, local. We are grateful to our college management, our Reverend Secretary and Chief Patron, Shri Ashok Kumarji Mundra, for his words of encouragement. His able guidance has always encouraged us. I thank him for his kindness, his interest, his hospitality and continued support. Thank you, sir. I thank all our well-wishers, I thank our well-wisher, our principal, Captain Dr. S. Santosh Babu, member syndicate, University of Madras, patron and convener for his stewardness, support, vision, and commitment. I thank our organizing secretary, Dr. Kavita Menon, head of the department for the unstinted support provided by ma'am. I thank our joint secretary, Dr. D. Jay Prakash, sir, assistant professor, for his constant efforts and hard work. I thank the organizing committee members for the untiring contribution made by each and every one of them. Dr. A. Bhuneshwari ma'am, Ms. D. Narmada, Dr. K. Tamil Selvi, Dr. K. Chitralekha, Dr. C. P. Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Dr. N. Alamilu Satyabama ma'am, Dr. V. Satish Kumar, Dr. Ms. V. Vida Radha Lakshmi, Dr. V. Subhashini ma'am, and myself, Sneha Karthikeyan. I owe a special gratitude to all the non-teaching staff and technical staff who have worked hard to ensure that this occasion becomes a memorable success. I thank all the distinguished invitees present here for accepting our invitation and all the good hearts there who worked behind the screen. Last but not least, I thank you, my friends, for your cooperation in making this conference a resounding success. Finally, I leave you with this inspiring quote by Martin Luther, just inspiring word. Magic is believing in yourself. If you can make that happen, you can make anything happen. If something is important enough, even if odds are stacked up against you, you should still do it. Hold the vision, trust the process. Thank you all. Jai Shri Krishna. A small information, we will join back in our technical session by 2 p.m. sharp. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. With this, we wind our session for this day, for the inaugural session. By 2 p.m., the technical session would start. Thank you all. By 1:30, all participants are requested to be ready.
I request every participant to leave the meeting. Thank you all.